Warrior Lore. Chapter 2209. Yutsong, Xiao Xinrui's eyes flashed with a trace of disgust, and she sneered. I am Zhang Fan's wife, and Zhang An's sister-in-law. You can call I sister-in-law, or you can call me fellow Taoist. This big sister is still irrelevant. He, Sister Xiao, isn't sister-in-law the sister? Why do you ask when you already know the answer? Yutsong's eyes showed a lascivious smile, and he rubbed his thick palms hard. Xiao Xinrui felt a chill run down her spine. I have come. You should give Lu to I. Xiao Xinrui asked helplessly. Sister. Don't you think that I called you here just to see you and say a few words to you? How about I call you sister? Yutsong's eyes were full of laughter, but his face was serious, as if he was saying something different. You. Xiao Xinrui's face flushed. What do you want? Do you still need to say it? Yutsong stretched out his hand, as if to hug her, and shrugged. Don't you know what a man wants? Haven't you done it with Zhang Fan? Is Zhang Luer someone else's child? Yutsong. Xiao Xinrui's face was even redder, but her eyes were about to spit fire. You harassed I again and again. I thought that you were Zhang An's husband, so I tolerated you again and again. But you? Why don't you give up your evil intentions? Zhang An is 100 times more beautiful than I. Why don't you be satisfied with her as your dual cultivation partner? Today, you did something that angered both men and gods and took my Zhang Luer away. If my husband and Zhang Luer's grandfather knew about this, do you still have a way to live? Sister, how can you not know? Since I saw you, I was bewitched by you. Every day when I was dual cultivation with Zhang An, I only saw you. Besides, although Zhang An is beautiful, who doesn't get tired of it after a long time? You face Zhang Fan every day and night. Don't you get tired of it? Don't you want to try someone else? Yutsong looked innocent. This man is right in front of you. You only need to take a few steps forward, and you can hold him in your arms. Don't you want that? Bah. Xiao Xinrui was ashamed and angry. She spat and said, I am not such a shameless female cultivator. You are wrong. Is that so? Sister Xiao, it seems that you don't care about Zhang Luer at all. As Yutsong spoke, she actually took 2 steps back and pointed at her. Could it be that Zhang Luer isn't your boy? Could it be that you've already forgotten about Zhang Fan who's on the sickbed? You. What exactly do you want? Where is my Zhang Luer? Xiao Xinrui gritted her teeth. Yutsong shook his head slightly and said with a bitter expression, If you don't come over and hug me, I definitely won't say a single word. Moreover, I am a person who has tender feelings for the fairer sex, not a benevolent person. If I am not satisfied after this moment, then Zhang Luer's life. Fine. Xiao Xinrui gritted her teeth again and said, You? Only want I to hug you? Yutsong shook his head vigorously again and took half a step back. This little one naturally doesn't have such simple thoughts. However, this little one still wants Big Sister to be completely willing. If Big Sister is willing to undress right now, this little one is also willing. Don't even think about it. Xiao Xinrui flatly refused. Sister can refuse, but you have to look at the green robe in your hand. Yutsong said coldly, If you don't want Zhang Luer to die, you have to listen to me. Then, Yutsong crossed his arms and said, Aren't you going to come over quickly? Okay. Xiao Xinrui's eyes widened, and her face was filled with helplessness. She could only walk slowly to Yutsong step by step. She hesitantly stretched out her arms as if she wanted to hug Yutsong. But just as she stretched out her arms, Xiao Xinrui waved her hands and hit Yutsong with a confinement spell. On the other hand, Yutsong did not resist at all. Instead, there was a trace of a sinister smile in his eyes. Why is that? Xiao Xinrui absolutely did not expect that she would succeed so easily. A few of her later plans were completely useless. Tell me, where is Zhang Luer? Xiao Xinrui stretched out her hand and grabbed Yutsong's throat, asking coldly, Save me! Save me! Yutsong suddenly cried out. Seeing that Yutsong was actually shouting, Xiao Xinrui gritted her teeth and said, Yutsong, you definitely did not expect this day to come. If you call I boy out, I... However, before Xiao Xinrui, who was still flustered and exasperated, could finish her words, dozens of ice thorns emerged from the edge of the cave and shot towards the silent restriction spell that Yutsung had set up earlier. Walala, like raindrops falling on banana leaves, a burst of brilliance was annihilated, and the restriction spell in the cave disappeared. At the place where the ice thorns emerged, Jiang An's figure gradually appeared, her eyes about to spit fire. However, what was faster than Jiang An's figure was Jiang An's scolding voice, "Bitch! I knew it. You are coveting my Lang Jun. Just now, you lied to me, saying that you were going to Jinghua City to avoid my eyes and ears. Who knew? You were actually meeting him here." "Wife, I'm innocent." Yu Tsung's voice sounded. "When did you come? Didn't you see? I was forced by her. How could I leave you to meet someone else?" "You still have the nerve to say that." Jiang An's figure had already flown to Xiao Xinrui, and Yu Tsung sighed as she spoke, and she shouted, "Just now, you were sneaking around. Did you think I didn't know anything? I saw that you were doing something that you didn't want to see me do, so I secretly followed you." Slap, as Jiang An spoke, she turned her hand and slapped Xiao Xinrui's face. Jiang An was also in Foundation establishment at this time, but unfortunately, she was still no match for Xiao Xinrui, who raised her hand to block it. Xiao Xinrui's face was also extremely red, and she hurriedly said, "Sister, listen to sister-in-law's explanation." "Bitch, what's there to explain?" Jiang An clapped her hands, and several yellow talismans were taken out, and she was about to cast them with her magic power. "You are having an affair behind my brother's back? How dare you explain it to me? If you want to explain it to my brother. I'll take you down now, you shameless bitch." Then, the yellow talismans in Jiang An's hand were thrown out, and all of them were thrown at Xiao Xinrui, and Yukong Xiao Xinrui gritted her teeth, grabbed Yu Tsung with her left hand, and hurriedly retreated. With a wave of her right hand, a light flashed, and a round shield blocked in front of the yellow talismans. The ice thorns, fireballs, and other objects all hit the light and were gradually annihilated. -8. Chapter 22:10. "Bitch, how dare you say you have no affair with Yu Tsung?" Jiang An said angrily, "If you have no affair with him, why are you protecting him? Let me kill him as well." How could Xiao Xinrui let Yu Tsung die? She still wanted to save her boy from Yu Tsung. "Sister, this is all a misunderstanding." Xiao Xinrui explained again. "There is nothing between sister-in-law and Yu Tsung. Sister-in-law has no choice but to come here to see him because Lu is in Yu Tsung's hands." "Nonsense." Jiang Yin clapped her hands again. This time, she was clearly anxious. It was actually a ring-shaped Dharma artifact. It emitted a faint green light, and under the activation of her transcendence energy, it suddenly enlarged. "I saw it clearly just now. You forced Yu Tsung to retreat step by step. If it wasn't for the fact that you have something on him, how could he possibly have a private meeting with you again?" "What?" Xiao Xinrui was shocked. At this time, she recalled again and suddenly realized that everything that Yu Tsung had done before was premeditated. If there was a mute restriction, others couldn't hear anything. Wouldn't it be a misunderstanding? Would he treat her as a prostitute? Immediately, Xiao Xinrui's face flushed red. At this time, Jiang An's magic weapon had been activated. It turned into a 5-foot circle of light, flying at the top of the cave, and was about to fall on Xiao Xinrui. Xiao Xinrui looked at Yu Tsung's pale face and anxious expression, and said angrily, "Yu Tsung, I ask you, where is Zhang Luer? If you don't answer, I will immediately kill you." "Sister-in-law, don't force me. I've said it 10,000 times. I only love my wife in this life. I will never have an affair with you." Yu Tsung was anxious. "You threatened to hurt my wife's life to trick me here. Why are you slandering me for Luer's matter now?" Hearing Yu Tsung's words, how could Xiao Xinrui not know that she had fallen into Yu Tsung's trap? However, she didn't care whether she had fallen into his trap or not. She just activated her magic power and said coldly, "I will ask you again. Where is Zhang Luer?" Hee. Yu Tsung's face flushed red, looking anxious. "This you really doesn't know. Even if you kill me, I won't know." "You." Xiao Xinrui didn't expect that Yu Tsung wouldn't relent even at this moment. She would rather pinch him to death. However, could he really crush him to death? With a buzzing sound, Jiang An's ritual implement had already landed and covered Xiao Xinrui completely. Xiao Xinrui's magic tool had been shattered by Xiao Hua's magic hammer in Weeping Moon City. After returning to Yellow Flower Ridge, due to various reasons, she had never obtained another magic tool. At this time, seeing the halo falling, Xiao Xinrui had no choice but to cast a spell and retreat again. Unfortunately, this time, her defensive halo was instantly shattered by Jiang Lian's magic tool. The halo only paused for a moment before hitting Xiao Xinrui's right arm. Hiss! Xiao Xinrui sucked in a breath of cold air and felt a sharp pain. Her right arm had been broken. Blood seeped out of his Taoist robe. Good. Jiang An was so angry that she laughed. I don't know how my husband attracted you. You would rather hurt yourself than let him go. I didn't believe it at first, but now, I have to believe it. As she spoke, Jiang An pointed her finger and surged her magic power again, urging the ritual implement to hit Xiao Xinrui. Xiao Xinrui had no choice but to kick Yu Tsong's thigh. Yu Tsong's thigh flashed, and with a cracking sound, Yu Tsong's thigh was also broken. Yu Tsong couldn't help but scream. Yu Tsong, quickly tell me where Zhang Luer is. Otherwise, I will definitely make you wish you were dead. Xiao Xinrui's face was also ferocious. Bitch, how dare you? Without waiting for Yu Tsong to speak, Jiang An said angrily, how dare you kill my husband in front of me? I'll kill you. The ritual implement was covered in green light, and it smashed toward Xiao Xinrui again. Since you don't want to say it, you can go to hell. Xiao Xinrui's eyes flashed coldly, and she lifted Yu Tsong's body to block in front of the ritual implement. Humph. I'll kill this guy first, then I'll take your life. Jiang An didn't hesitate, and she didn't withdraw her ritual implement at all, directly attacking Yukong. Xiao Xinrui hated Yu Tsong, so of course, she wouldn't tolerate it. Yu Tsong was about to be killed by Jiang An's ritual implement. Stop. Don't you think you've caused enough trouble? Do you still want to wash your dirty linen in public? A slightly old voice sounded, and a sharp magic power came. Jiang An's ritual implement was immediately pulled back by the magic power, and it jumped in the air, the green light dimming. Seeing that the ritual implement was stopped, Xiao Xinrui's face suddenly turned pale, and she looked up at the cave entrance. Although Yu Tsong's back was facing the cave entrance, his face was pale, but he was obviously relaxed. After a trace of a smile flashed in his eyes, he actually landed on Xiao Xinrui's twin peaks. Father. Jiang An heard the familiar voice and couldn't help but feel sad. She cried and said, Didn't you see that bitch of the Xiao family seducing my husband? How will my face be? How will your face be? How will my face be? Cough, cough. Before Jiang An's voice fell, a weak voice full of hatred sounded, and a somewhat trembling figure appeared beside Jiang Jiantong, who was standing at the cave entrance. It was Xiao Xinrui's husband, Jiang Fan. Husband, why did you come out? Xiao Xinrui's face was as white as paper, and she didn't know what to do with Yu Tsong in her hand. If I didn't come out, how would I know what you've done? How would I know that you're so shameless? Jiang Fan said coldly. Husband, you've misunderstood. Xiao Xinrui hurriedly threw Yu Tsong to the ground and said, I didn't see Zhang Luer today, and I received a message from this guy, saying that he brought Zhang Luer here. He asked me to come here alone, and I can't tell anyone, or he'll kill Zhang Luer. If he says I can't talk about it, then I can't. Jiang Fan said coldly, although I'm sick, I'm not dead. Zhang Luer is your boy. Isn't he my boy? Why didn't you tell me? Husband, what's your illness like? How would I dare to tell you? Xiao Xinrui said anxiously. Fanner is sick. You don't have to tell me, but what about me? Jiang Jiantong said coldly, I'm the leader of the 100 Herbs Gate. Can't you tell me? Father. Xiao Xinrui defended herself. Yu Tsong said clearly on the message charm that if I tell anyone, he'll kill Zhang Luer. I don't dare to take the risk. Hee, you only remember that Zhang Luer is your boy, but you forget that he has a father. Xiao Xinrui, do you think that I'm not his father? Jiang Fan suddenly sneered. Husband, what do you mean? Xiao Xinrui was stunned. However, Jiang Fan didn't say anything. Jiang Jiantong walked in front of Yu Tsong, pointed his finger, and released Yu Tsong's confinement technique. He said coldly, Yu Tsong, tell me the cause of this matter. Yes. Yu Tsong struggled to stand and said, Father-in-law, I have never dared to tell father-in-law. Sister-in-law, she has always been flirting with me. I know what she's thinking, but I don't dare to tell father-in-law, and I don't even dare to tell my wife. I know that my wife is outspoken. Once I tell her, she'll definitely find sister-in-law. If she makes a fuss, Brother Fan will definitely know. With his current illness, it will definitely cause a big problem. Tell me about today. Jiang Jiantong saw Jiang Fan's face gradually change and asked lightly, Yes, I received a message talisman today. It was from my sister-in-law. She said that she has something to discuss with me, and that it's related to Brother Fan's illness. She didn't let me tell anyone. Yu Tsong said again, I didn't want to come, but since it's related to Brother Fan's illness, if sister-in-law has something to ask of my 10,000 Flower Valley, she would be embarrassed to say it in front of others, so she wanted to say it behind their backs, so I came. However, after I came, I didn't see sister-in-law. After waiting for a long time, she came over. After she came, she immediately used a silent restriction spell and talked to me crazily, saying something about Brother Fan's illness and that she couldn't bear it. Sigh. In short, I found it hard to talk about it, and then she actually wanted to hug me. Of course, this son-in-law couldn't accept it and backed down again and again. Who knew that when she walked in front of this son-in-law, she suddenly used a confinement technique and restrained this son-in-law? Yu Tsong said, Father-in-law also knows that ever since sister-in-law built her foundation, her cultivation has improved greatly. Although I'm as strong as her, how could I fight her in such a short time? I was restrained by her in an instant. Then my wife appeared. Xiao Xinrui, is what Yu Tsong said true? Jiang Jiantong said coldly. Xiao Xinrui's face was pale. She didn't answer Jiang Jiantong's question, but looked at Yu Tsong and asked word by word, Where is Zhang Luer? Sister-in-law, your question is strange. Yu Tsong shook his head and said, How would I know where Zhang Luer is? Zhang Luer went to Medicine Farmer Peak with Lai Hong. They will return in the afternoon. Jiang Jianong said indifferently. Zhang Luer was playing at Lone Staff Peak. When she saw Lai Hong go out, she clamored to go with him. Lai Hong had no choice but to send me a message talisman. Oh, Xiao Xinrui heard and immediately heaved a sigh of relief. She looked at Jiang Fan and said, Husband, I'm telling the truth. If you don't believe me, you can see Yu Tsong's message talisman. With that, Xiao Xinrui took out a red message talisman and handed it to Jiang Jiantong. Jiang Jiantong took it with a cold face. He scanned it with his divine sense and threw it to Xiao Xinrui, saying angrily, This is the message talisman you were talking about? Xiao Xinrui was stunned. She picked up the message talisman from the ground and scanned it with her divine sense. Her face turned pale immediately. There was no magic power in the message talisman, and there was no sound at all. This? Xiao Xinrui stared at Yukong's sister-in-law. Now that things have come to this, I have no choice but to take out the message talisman. Yu Tsong smiled bitterly. He clapped his hands, took out a message talisman, and handed it to Jiang Jiantong. Jiang Jiantong scanned it with his divine sense and activated his magic power. Xiao Xinrui's voice sounded. It matched what Yu Tsong said. -8. Chapter 22:11. No. Xiao Xinrui panicked. It's not from me. It was from half a year ago, when Yu Tsong was talking to me about my husband's illness. Shut up. Jiang Fan scolded. Bitch, how dare you defend yourself? Why can't you find someone else? How dare you find him? You're humiliating me. Brother, what's wrong with Yu Tsong? Although Yu Tsong looks dull, she's a foundation establishment cultivator after all. She's much better than you, bitch. Jiang An argued. I saw it clearly just now. It was this bitch who took the initiative. My husband kept retreating. If you're angry, you should ask her how she built her foundation and where she got the talisman. Is this Zhang Luer really your own flesh and blood? Shut up. Jiang Fan glared at Jiang An. He was about to speak, but then his face turned red. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Husband. Xiao Xinrui was shocked and hurried to his side. Go back. Jiang Jiantong was faster. He flew to Jiang Fan's side and supported him. He waved his sleeve and sent Xiao Xinrui flying. Jiang Jianong was already in the late stage of foundation establishment. How could Xiao Xinrui get close to him? She kept arguing and didn't take the pill. The blood on her arm was even thicker. Oomph. Bitch. Jiang carefully took out the pill and handed it to Yukong. Although her face was cold, her movements were gentle. When she walked past Xiao Xinrui with Yucong, she couldn't help but spit on Xiao Xinrui's face and cursed. Xiao Xinrui looked wronged, but her eyes were unyielding. However, thinking of her boy, she tried to hide her unyielding look. She lowered her head and wiped Jiang and spit off her delicate face. She didn't say anything. Then, Xiao Xinrui looked at the empty cave inside. She took out a pill from her storage bag and swallowed it. When the pill dissolved, she got up and flew toward Yellow Flower Ridge. The fog of Yellow Flower Ridge was still easily opened by Xiao Xinrui. However, as soon as she passed through the fog and arrived at the welcoming pavilion, she was stopped by two elders in the early stage of Zhuji realm. The person in front was Lai Hong. Lai Hong cupped his hands with a cold expression and said, "Young madam, my clan master has ordered you to pack up your things immediately. Take out all the items of my 100 Herbs Gate and leave Yellow Flower Ridge immediately." Elder Lai. Xiao Xinrui ignored Lai Hong's cold face and asked anxiously, "Where is Zhang Luer? Didn't he go to Medicine Farmer Peak with you? Why didn't you go? Where's Zhang Luer?" Lai Hong hesitated for a moment before saying, "Young madam, don't be anxious. Zhang Luer wanted to go to Medicine Farmer Peak with this old man, but this old man received a message from the sect and rushed back. Zhang Luer is now with the sect leader." All right. Xiao Xinrui heaved a huge sigh of relief and prepared to fly in the direction of Mincy Peak. But before she could fly, Lai Hong blocked her and said, "Young madam, don't make things difficult for me. The sect leader has ordered you to pack up and leave Yellow Flower Ridge immediately." Elder Lai. Xiao Xinrui begged, "I can leave Yellow Flower Ridge, but I must see Zhang Luer first. That's my flesh and blood. Besides, without Zhang Luer, where can I go? I beg of Elder Lai. I only want to see Zhang Luer, and the sect leader wants to explain the matter clearly. It's all a misunderstanding." Lai Hong was in a difficult position. Looking at the other elder with a thin face, he said hesitantly, "Elder Huang Ri, you see, how can this old man dare to disobey the sect leader's orders? Young madam, you'd better leave Yellow Flower Ridge quickly. As for whether it's a misunderstanding or not, it has nothing to do with us." Huang Ri said coldly, "Although you're also an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator with profound dermic powers, you're still no match for Elder Lai and I. Don't force us to make a move here. It's not good for either of us." Swoosh, Xiao Xinrui suddenly took action. A large number of yellow talismans flew out, and dozens of fireball talismans enveloped Lai Hong and Huang Ri while she hurriedly flew towards Mincy Peak. This old man knew you had this idea. Huang Ri did not panic. With a clap of his hand, he took out a wooden staff-like magic tool. With a slight shake of his hand, a green vortex appeared, sucking in all the fireballs. A muffled rumbling sound could be heard. Rays of green brilliance splashed in all directions, annihilating all the fireballs. "Young madam, stay here." Huang Ri raised his hand, and the wooden staff was like a green vine that rapidly extended and chased after Xiao Xinrui. It was about to strike Xiao Xinrui's bloodied right arm. With a light pong, Xiao Xinrui did not even turn around to resist. She only raised her right arm and blocked the wooden staff, while her left hand struck out several confinement spells. Huang Ri did not expect that Xiao Xinrui would rather injure herself to block his pursuit. Naturally, Lai Hong was also surprised, and he hurriedly struck out a spell to block in front of him. Their pursuit was blocked, but Huang Ri's wooden staff struck Xiao Xinrui's right arm. With a flash of light, the defensive yellow talisman was instantly shattered. Xiao Xinrui's right arm was instantly lacerated, and blood splattered everywhere. Xiao Xinrui gritted her teeth and snorted coldly. She did not care about her injuries and hurriedly flew towards Mincy Peak. "How dare you?" Huang Ri was enraged. He activated his dermic powers, and the wooden staff was like a green wooden snake that chased after Xiao Xinrui. However, Lai Hong tugged at his sleeve and said, "Elder Huang, Where it is possible to let people off, one should spare them. Moreover, this is the young madam. If we can spare her, we should spare her. Elder Lai, you are wrong. Huang Ri flicked his sleeve and blocked Lai Hong, saying, in my eyes, the sect master's words are the heavens. I don't care about the young madam or young master. As long as the sect master says to let her go, then she must go. Hee. Hearing Huang Ri's words, Lai Hong retracted his hand and only smiled coldly. However, a trace of mockery flashed in his eyes. However, he did not dare to be negligent. He flew behind Huang Ri and chased after Xiao Xinrui. Although Xiao Xinrui had built her foundation later, she had received the soul accumulation talisman from Xiao Hua in Weeping Moon City. After building her foundation, her dermic powers and cultivation were not inferior to Lai Hong and Huang Ri's. She might not be able to compete with the two of them in a fight, but when she flew, she actually gained an advantage. Not long after, Xiao Xinrui flew up to Mincy Peak. She saw Jiang Jiantong in front of the guest hall, carrying a 3- or 4-year-old child in his arms. He was about to walk in. Beside him, there were 100 Herb's clan disciples crowding around the already awakened Jiang Fan. Jiang Luer. Xiao Xinrui could not help but call out loudly. Mother. When the child heard this, he was overjoyed. He reached out his chubby little hand and grabbed at Xiao Xinrui. -8. Chapter 22:12. Jiang Jiantong turned his head and snorted, useless thing. However, since Xiao Xinrui had already flown to Mingli Peak, Jiang Jiantong could only wave his sleeve, and a surge of magic power gushed out, blocking Xiao Xinrui from approaching. Xiao Xinrui, what else do you want? Jiang Jiantong said coldly, this old man has given you enough face by allowing you to leave quietly. Could it be that you want this old man to announce your scandal to the public? Father. Xiao Xinrui landed on the ground and pleaded, I've been wronged. I really didn't do anything to let Brother Fan down. I'm not your father. Jiang Jiantong said coldly, your father is Xiao Hongyue, and he was buried in Yellow Flower Ridge long ago. Don't call me father in the future. As for whether you were wronged, or whether you did it yourself, I'm not blind. I can see everything clearly, so I don't need you to explain. Okay. Xiao Xinrui looked at Jiang Fan and pleaded, Brother Fan. I've been with you for so many years, don't you know how I treat you? Don't tell me you don't trust me. I did want to believe you, Jiang Fan said through gritted teeth. But how can you make me believe you? You know that guy is a pervert, but you still keep in touch with him and stay alone with him. Isn't it just that you don't trust me? Today, Jiang Hong saw everything and caught the two of you on the spot. What can you quibble about? Since you have this idea, I'll help you. Why do you have to be entangled here? Brother Fan. Xiao Xinrui still didn't want to give up and said, today's matter is obviously Yutsong's trap. How could Jiang Hong lie in the cave so early, and how could my husband and father arrive at that time? Isn't this very strange? Don't call me father. I have nothing to do with you. Jiang Jiantong said coldly again. I don't know why Fan was there, but I went out with Fan. But when I saw you sneaking out of the maze of Yellow Flower Ridge, I became suspicious and went to check it out. Xiao Xinrui's heart was as cold as ice. Looking at Jiang Jiantong, she understood something. Maybe Jiang Jiantong didn't mean it, or maybe he did it on purpose. It was a piece of cake for him. Let's not talk about what happened today, Jiang said coldly. Where's the jasper saber I gave you? When I was here, you couldn't build your foundation, but when I left, you immediately did it. Or did he build his foundation when all the disciples were sacrificed and no one was around? How did you get the talisman? Sigh, Brother Fan. Xiao Xinrui sighed and said, didn't I already say it? It was a cultivator dressed in camouflage robes who smashed my jasper saber with a demonic hammer. The moment he killed me, I involuntarily entered foundation establishment. That's when that cultivator gave me the talisman. Ha ha ha. Jiang Fan laughed until tears rolled down his cheeks. He raised his hand with difficulty and said, are you trying to fool a 3-year-old boy? A demonic weapon? Who else could have a demonic weapon except for a demonic cultivator from the heavenly demon sect? And what kind of cultivators are those from the heavenly demon sect? What yin and yang dual cultivation? What female babies? What kind of dirty cultivation methods don't they have? You built your foundation under the hands of a demonic cultivator from the heavenly demon sect. How could I not be suspicious? And why did the cultivator from the Thunder Control sect give you a peacock doll? Why do you like peacock dolls so much? Do I need to say more? What's the talisman? It's something that even my father didn't get. My 100 Herbs sect can't even exchange for the talisman, but that cultivator gave it to you so easily. You think you're his disciple? If you didn't have an affair with him, he wouldn't have given you such an important thing. Xiao Xinrui's face turned pale. She was speechless. What she said was the truth, and it really happened. But in the eyes of others, there were so many flaws. There were thousands of pieces of evidence to prove her infidelity. Things in this world really couldn't stand up to scrutiny, especially in the eyes of those who wanted to see it. Do you want me to say more? Zhang Fan said coldly. Do you want to tear apart the last bit of face? Since you want to tear it apart, then let's tear it apart. Xiao Xinrui clenched her teeth and said, I'd like to see how shameless I can be. Good. Zhang Fan pointed at Zhang Luer and said, Tell me what's wrong with Zhang Luer. Xiao Xinrui said coldly, So you've always been suspicious of Zhang Luer's identity? That's right. Zhang Fan said with a hideous smile. There was a problem with my body when I built my foundation. Originally, I couldn't have children, but I didn't expect that 3 years ago, you would get pregnant. Ha ha ha. Isn't this a bit too much of a coincidence? Thinking back to that day, I'm afraid you've already planned it. Yes, that's right. I planned it. Xiao Xinrui nodded and said, Zhang Luer is not your son. Give him back to me, and I'll leave Yellow Flower Ridge immediately. Ha ha ha, bitch. You finally admit it, Zhang Fan said with a hideous smile. In that case, what happened today was not a coincidence, and what we saw was not a misunderstanding. If you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext, Xiao Xinrui said coldly, but I was forced to be with such a vulgar person, which really slandered me. But it doesn't matter now. You can say whatever you want. As long as you give Zhang Luer to me, I'll take all the responsibility. You want to take Zhang Luer away? You're really delusional. Zhang Jintong sneered and said, Luer is the next leader of the 100 Herbs faction. If you take him away, won't my years of hard work be in vain? Father, Leader Zhang, Xiao Xinrui said anxiously, I'll promise you anything. I'll accept all the dirty water, but since Zhang Luer is not your son, why can't you give him back to me? Do I need to tell you the reason? Zhang Jintong glared at Xiao Xinrui and said, Go. For Zhang Luer's sake, I won't take your life. But you want to take Zhang Luer away? That's absolutely impossible. Then Zhang Jintong waved his hand and said, Are you all stupid? Drive this bitch out of Yellow Flower Ridge. As for himself, he was about to walk into the reception hall with Zhang Luer in his arms. Luer, Xiao Xinrui called out anxiously. Mother. Zhang Luer didn't understand what they were saying, but he listened obediently and didn't disturb the adults. But at this time, when he saw Xiao Xinrui's anxiety, he suddenly understood what his mother was thinking, so he hurriedly called out, That's not your mother. Your mother died a long time ago. Zhang Jintong said with a smile, The mother in front of you is just the mother Grandpa found to feed you. No, my mother is Luer's mother. Zhang Luer didn't fall for the trick and struggled in Zhang Jintong's arms. Luer. Xiao Xinrui flew out and rushed to Zhang Jintong. Get lost. Zhang Jintong waved his sleeve and a huge force surged out, shaking Xiao Xinrui more than 10 feet away. Xiao Xinrui fell down, and her injured right arm oozed blood again. Xiao Xinrui took a breath of cold air, got up and crawled to the ground, crying, Leader Zhang, I beg you. Give Zhang Luer back to me. I can't live without Zhang Luer, and Zhang Luer can't live without his mother. Get lost. Zhang Jintong still said only one word. Brother Fan, please do me a favor. Xiao Xinrui knelt on the ground again and said to Zhang Fan, who was surrounded by people, I didn't have a mother since I was young, and I know the loneliness of not having a mother since I was young. When I gave birth to Zhang Luer, I secretly swore that I would never let him live without a mother again, and I would never let him repeat my mistakes. If I wasn't by his side, Zhang Luer would definitely cry. Please do me a favor and let me take Zhang Luer away. What does this have to do with me? Zhang Fan sneered. Zhang Luer is not my flesh and blood. What happens to him in the future has nothing to do with me. Mother. Zhang Luer seemed to understand something. He cried in a hoarse voice and stretched out his little hand with all his strength. Unfortunately, in Zhang Jiantong's hands, Zhang Luer was even less than a chicken. There was no chance for him to struggle at all. Xiao Xinrui felt like her heart was being twisted by a knife, and her whole body was being torn apart. The pain in her right arm was nothing at all at this time. Don't worry. Zhang Jiantong laughed. It's just a few days. Zhang Luer still has you in his heart. Tomorrow, this old man will find him a beautiful mother, and he will soon forget about you. He will never have a day without a mother. Moreover, Zhang Luer will be the young lord of our 100 Herbs Gate in the future. What glory, wealth, mental cultivation methods, and panaceas can he not have? How can he compare with you and Xiaoyuan? Thinking of Yu Tsong's trick, Xiao Xinrui's face suddenly changed. She kowtowed and said, Leader Zhang, please let Zhang Luer go. He is still young and is not a chess piece in your game. If Zhang Luer follows me, he can live a few more years. If he stays in Yellow Flower Ridge, I'm afraid. Bah, bitch. Zhang Jiantong was furious and scolded. You know so much. Get out of here. Leader Zhang. At this time, Xiao Xinrui no longer had the demeanor of a cultivator in the early stage of foundation establishment. She only had the painstaking efforts of a loving mother and the love of holding a child in her arms. She had long forgotten about her cultivation and hoped that her pleading could move Zhang Jiantong. I won't leave even if I die. I want to stay by Zhang Luer's side. You won't leave? Zhang Jiantong rolled his eyes and nodded. You only need to agree to 3 of my conditions, and I will agree to them. Father, Zhang Fan said angrily, why do you want to keep such a shameless bitch? Don't you think this boy has lost a lot of face? Okay. Xiao Xinrui was afraid that Zhang Jiantong would go back on his word, so she quickly said, there is no need to say 3. I will agree to thousands of conditions, as long as I can stay by Zhang Luer's side. Zhang Jiantong ignored Zhang Fan and said with a smile, Xiao Xinrui, these 3 conditions are very simple. First, you can stay by Zhang Luer's side, but you can't say that you are his mother. You can only be his nanny. -8. Chapter 22:13. Okay. Xiao Xinrui agreed without hesitation. The second condition is to destroy your cultivation. I don't feel at ease leaving an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator in the 100 Herbs Gate. Okay. Xiao Xinrui agreed without hesitation. To her, her child was far more important than her cultivation. The third condition? You're going to ruin your own face. You should know that the reason you ended up like this is because of your face. Okay. Xiao Xinrui didn't even think and agreed without hesitation. What was her face? The flesh and blood that fell from her body was far more important than her appearance. Even Zhang Jiantong didn't expect that his harsh conditions were simply to make things difficult for Xiao Xinrui. However, Xiao Xinrui agreed without hesitation. Zhang Jiantong's jaw dropped in shock. Zhang Jiantong had underestimated the love of mothers for their children. Okay. Zhang Jiantong clapped his hands and said, in that case, I have nothing else to say. If you fulfill these 3 conditions now, I will let you stay. Okay. Xiao Xinrui stood up shakily, her lips trembling. She looked at Zhang Luer and said, Luer, take a good look at your mother and look at my face. Mother can't accompany you in the future. I hope you can remember this face of mine. Mother. Zhang Luer's tears wet her little face. Gate leader Zhang, please take Luer away. I'm afraid that destroying my face will frighten the child. When I recover from my injuries, I will immediately change my appearance and become his nanny. Xiao Xinrui looked at Zhang Luer again and said to Zhang Jiantong with a determined look in her eyes. Okay. Zhang Jiantong smiled and nodded. It was time to leave. Rumble, an earth-shattering sound rang out, and the entire Yellow Flower Ridge shook. Zhang Jintong and the others were still fine. Their bodies swayed slightly and flew into the air. Xiao Xinrui, on the other hand, lost her balance and fell to the ground. She was mentally and physically exhausted and had lost a lot of blood. She actually fainted. Many of the aura-refining disciples also staggered and almost fell down. What's going on? Zhang Jintong was furious. Rumble. Then there was another series of tremors. Even the air began to ripple. Someone is attacking our 100 Herbs Gates formation. Zhang Jintong came to a realization and hurriedly said to Lai Hong and Huang Ri, elders, quickly bring this disciple over to take a look. Once this old man is done with this matter, I will head over immediately. Yes, Lai Hong had wanted to leave long ago. When he heard Zhang Jintong's instructions, he immediately pulled Huang Ri's sleeve and flew out of mindless worship peak. Humph, slut. You actually dare to act in front of this old man. Seeing that Xiao Xinrui had fainted, Zhang Jintong sneered. How could a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building faint so easily? Men, go and see what's going on. Quickly settle this matter. Truly unlucky. If I had known earlier, I would have. An aura-refining female disciple flew over. After taking a look, she hastily reported. Reporting to Sect Master, young madam has indeed fainted. Slap him. What young mistress? There's no such thing as a young mistress in my 100 Herbs Gate. Zhang Fan cursed. Yes, disciple knows her mistake. The female disciple was afraid and hurriedly admitted her mistake. Why aren't you waking her up? Zhang Jintong scolded. Rumble. Another earth-shaking tremor shook the earth. Zhang Jintong frowned and handed Zhang Luer to a disciple beside him. He raised his head and looked into the distance, saying curiously, Who's coveting my yellow flower ridge again? It seems like no one has come to provoke us for a long time. The female disciple took out a small gourd, pulled out the cork, and placed it in front of Xiao Xinrui's nose. Xiao Xinrui's nose twitched a few times, and her eyes began to move. She slowly woke up. Reporting to Sect Master, Young, she's awake. Before Zhang Jintong could take out the jade tablet that controlled the array to examine the situation outside, he heard the female disciple's report. Zhang Jintong didn't care and said coldly, Xiao Xinrui, hurry up. If you want to leave, you can leave now. If you want to stay, quickly cripple your cultivation. I know. Xiao Xinrui woke up and sighed slightly. She looked down at her right arm. It was a bloody mess, and even her bones were exposed. She couldn't help but plead, I'm seriously injured. Can you let me rest for a few days? In your dreams, Zhang Jintong said coldly, don't try to delay. Then, you have to let me take the elixir, right? Xiao Xinrui said with a bitter smile. Now that I've crippled my cultivation, I'm afraid I can't even keep my life. Then you'd better go. Zhang Jintong said impatiently, what does your life have to do with me? Okay. Xiao Xinrui gritted her teeth. Just as she was about to practice, a voice came. Father-in-law, why do you have to do this? What's wrong with letting her take the elixir? I saw that outside the array, there seemed to be someone who didn't want to live coming to provoke us. Why don't we let this person live? Although she slandered us, we can't not treat her well. Zhang Jintong looked over and saw that it was Yu Tsong, who had just retreated. Obviously, he was also awakened by the movement outside the array. Okay, since my good son-in-law has interceded, I'll let you take the elixir. Zhang Jintong wanted to refuse, but when he thought of the sect outside the array, he gritted his teeth and nodded. Xiao Xinrui looked coldly at Yu Tsong and Jiang Yin, who was gritting his teeth behind Yukong. She clapped her hands and took out a healing elixir. But before she took it, her heart moved slightly, and she inexplicably took another elixir made by Xiao Hua. Xiao Xinrui had never used this elixir before. This was the first time. A warm current gushed out from her body, and the elixir of the elixir rushed to her right arm. A numb and itchy feeling came from the wound. The magical elixir repaired the wound. Although new granulation was not visible to the naked eye, it was clearly seen by divine sense that it was rapidly growing. Oh, what kind of elixir is this? Yu Tsong noticed it, and Zhang Jintong was also slightly stunned. But at that moment, a communication talisman flew over with a whistle. Zhang Jiantong raised his hand and grabbed the communication talisman. He activated his dermic powers and crushed the communication talisman. Lai Hong's anxious voice came from it. Reporting to Sect Master, the incoming person is very fierce. He's an early-stage Foundation establishment cultivator. We are no match for him. Elder Huang Ri was killed by the incoming person with a Dharma treasure in just one move. Now, the incoming person is using true Samadhi fire to burn the array. At the same time, he's using another Dharma treasure to attack the array. That Dharma treasure is extremely powerful. Sect Master, please hurry and help. Otherwise, it will be broken in a short while. Ah! Jiang Jiantong and Yu Tsong were shocked. They were very clear about Huang Ri's cultivation. He was a cultivator who had reached Foundation establishment long ago. How could he be killed in just one move? Right? How many people are there? Who are they? What do they look like? Yu Tsong asked. -8. Chapter 22:14. I don't know either. Zhang Jiantong glanced at the resting Xiao Xinrui and flew up with a smile. Son-in-law, can you fight the enemy with me? Ha ha ha, that's what I should do. Yu Tsong flew into the air with a smile. Now that 1,000-Flower Valley and 100-Herb Gate are one. How can I not help father-in-law? Zhang Jianong pulled 1,000-Flower Valley's Yu Tsong to fight the enemy, and the person who came was Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua used the bright thunder escape that he cultivated to the limit in a place with no one around, and with the help of the teleportation array, he arrived at Yellow Flower Ridge in the shortest time possible. His divine sense swept across Yellow Flower Ridge, and Xiao Hua had mixed feelings. There was the humiliation of being forced to leave Yellow Flower Ridge, and also the hatred of Shang Huaming's death. Xiao Hua used the bright thunder escape to fly to Yellow Flower Ridge, and in the meantime, he had already put on the bewilderment mask. When he arrived at Yellow Flower Ridge and saw the familiar fog, Xiao Hua did not hesitate to use the cloud-suppressing seal. He activated his magic power, and the cloud-suppressing seal flew out with a rumble. Like millions of trembling ants, it flew into the air and gradually enlarged until it was like a small mountain dozens of meters in size. Go! Xiao Hua was extremely satisfied. This cloud-suppressing seal was not as good as the soaring dragon shears as a magic treasure, but it was just right to attack the array of Yellow Flower Ridge. Boom! With a loud sound, the cloud-suppressing seal smashed into the fog. Light flashed on the fog, and the entire fog fluctuated like a wave, and the entire mountain peak and ground shook, undulating. Ha ha ha, Xiao Hua laughed out loud. He waved his hand again, and a wall of true Samadhi flame that was several dozen feet tall was sent out at the same time, surrounding the mist of Yellow Flower Ridge. The tongue of flame licked the mist as if it had a mind of its own, and the mist actually gradually disappeared within the tongue of flame. Io, this fog is actually so powerful? Xiao Hua saw this and was not surprised. No one knew the power of his Samadhi true fire better than him. He thought that once he ignited the Samadhi true fire, this fog would definitely melt like snow, but he didn't expect it to be so difficult to deal with. Shang Huaming, actually have some foundation. Xiao Hua felt even more rueful, and his hatred for the spirit grass gate grew even more. He raised his cloud-suppressing seal again and struck at the fog array. Where did you come from? How dare you cause trouble for my 100 Herbs Gate all by yourself? Are you tired of living? Huang Ri also deserved this calamity. When this guy saw Xiao Hua come to challenge 100 Herbs Gate alone while dressed in a camouflage robe, and his transcendent artifact was also powerful, he had long been envious. Moreover, how many cultivators were capable of coming to the 100 Herbs Gate to cause trouble? In the past, weren't early Foundation establishment cultivators trying to take advantage of 100 Herbs Gate by relying on their numbers? Now that Xiao Hua had come alone, how could he attract Huang Ri's attention? Elder Huang. It was still Lai Hong who was attentive and hurriedly wanted to remind him. However, just as he spoke, Huang Ri had already activated his magic power and flew out. The wooden staff that had previously injured Xiao Xinrui also flew out. It drew a nimble arc in the air and attacked Xiao Hua. Huang Ri actually wanted to make the first move. Firstly, he could seize the initiative. Secondly, if he captured Xiao Hua, Lai Hong would not be able to snatch the cloud-suppressing seal from him. Xiao Hua originally did not want to use ruthless methods right from the start, but seeing Huang Ri's character, attacking without saying anything, just like the 100 Herbs Gate disciples he had encountered earlier, he was already furious. With a wave of his hand, the soaring dragon shears flew out. He said coldly, "This old man is just an unorthodox cultivator, and I'm tired of living." "What's the matter? Fellow Taoist, are you tired of living too?" The soaring dragon shears drew a golden arc in the air and slashed at the wooden staff. With a sea-eyed sound, the wooden staff was sliced apart by the soaring dragon shears. It did not seem to stop. "Io, not good." Huang Ri excitedly flew out and was immediately doused with cold water by Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua actually used 2 transcendent artifacts. How could Huang Ri not panic? However, Xiao Hua was furious. Seeing him was like seeing Jiang Jiantong, and also like seeing Xiao Hongyue get killed. How could he let him go? Huang Ri's expression changed greatly. Before he could turn around and escape, Xiao Hua shook his hand again and used the heaven and earth sleeve technique. In an instant, the spiritual energy within Tu Zhang of Huang Ri was sucked dry. Not only was Huang Ri's magic power stagnant, he was also unable to move. Xiao Hua's eyes flashed. The soaring dragon shears were like a dragon swinging its tail, slicing through Huang Ri's body. The defensive yellow talismans around Huang Ri were like paper. He did not even have time to scream before he was cut in half. His corpse fell into the air. Ah! Although Lai Hong did not underestimate Xiao Hua, the situation in front of him was still too out of his expectations. He did not dare to delay, and immediately flew back into the formation. He did not even have time to summon the Qi refinement disciples who followed him out. Xiao Hua's soaring dragon shears slashed a few times in the air before stopping. He coldly looked at the 100 Herbs Gate disciples who were scared witless as they fled into the formation. He pointed the cloud-suppressing seal, and the treasure whistled and smashed towards the place they were rushing in. Who? At this moment, Xiao Hua's heart skipped a beat. He immediately turned his head and swept out with his divine sense. However, there was nothing out of the ordinary in the surrounding 300 meters, or even a few kilometers. Strange. Xiao Hua was slightly surprised, but he did not care. He activated his magic power again and smashed the cloud-suppressing seal on the formation again and again. Yellow flower ridges' never-dispersing fog was gradually thinning. Buzz? The sound of a swarm of bees could be heard. Several unusually resplendent rays of light flew out from the fog like peach blossoms, spiraling and blocking the cloud-suppressing seal. Fellow Taoist, don't be anxious. I am Yutsong from the 10,000 Flowers Valley. Please show mercy. Yutsong did not come out, but his artifact was a step ahead of him. He even used the name of the 10,000 Flowers Valley. Immediately after, the bronze-colored Zhongwu blossomed with rays of light. Along with the peach blossoms, it slowly spiraled and blocked the cloud-suppressing seal and the peach blossoms. Oh, 10,000 Flowers Valley? Xiao Hua pretended to be stunned and asked curiously, "Isn't this 100 Herbs Gate? Why did you come out of the 10,000 Flowers Valley? What does fellow Taoist have to do with 100 Herbs Gate?" Xiao Hua's question had just landed when Jiang Jiantong and Yutsong, along with the elders and disciples of 100 Herbs Gate, flew out from the formation. Jiang Jiantong's face was full of anger, while Yutsong's face was smiling. "Who are you, fellow Taoist? You dare to bully my 100 Herbs Gate? You killed an elder of my 100 Herbs Gate as soon as you saw him?" Jiang Jiantong's divine sense swept across the cloud-suppressing seal and then looked at the true Samadhi fire. He knew that Xiao Hua was not easy to bully, but he could not lose face as the gate master, so he shouted coldly, "Hee. What? This old man is so arrogant. What can your 100 Herbs Gate do to me?" Xiao Hua saw Jiang Jiantong and saw his enemy. Although he already had a plan in mind, he could not help but be filled with anger. He pointed his finger, and the cloud-suppressing seal was raised high. It circled around a few peach blossoms and smashed directly at the Zhongwu. Jiang Jiantong naturally could not back down. He also activated his magic power, and the Zhongwu slowly flew up and also rushed up. With a loud rumble, The cloud-suppressing seal slightly rolled in the air. It was hit by the Zhongwu and flew up more than 10 feet. As for the Zhongwu, it also rolled and fell several feet from the air. He actually has the strength of a middle foundation establishment cultivator. Jiang Jiantong was slightly stunned. His divine sense could not see through Xiao Hua's bewilderment seal, so he could only tell from Xiao Hua's magic treasure. This magic treasure is so powerful. I don't know which sect this cultivator is from, but he actually has a secret technique to use 2 magic treasures. Although this magic treasure is not as good as this old man's medicine king cauldron, but if the other magic treasure is used together, it will be difficult to deal with. It will be difficult to kill this bastard. If we injure him, we are also afraid of offending his sect. This kind of middle foundation establishment cultivator actually came to provoke our 100 Herbs Gate. He must have some connections. First, we have to find out where he came from. Jiang Jiantong instantly made a decision and gave Yu Tsong a look. Yu Tsong and Jiang Jiantong had done this kind of shady business many times, so he immediately understood Jiang Jiantong's meaning. He pointed his finger, and several peach blossoms flew up and blocked between the Medicine King Cauldron and the cloud-suppressing seal. He himself flew up a few steps and cupped his hands, saying, "Senior, I am Yu Tsong, a disciple of the 10,000 Flowers Valley. Didn't you ask me about my relationship with the 100 Herbs Gate? I am the son-in-law of the 100 Herbs Gate. I don't know why you came to the 100 Herbs Gate. Why don't you tell me first? If it is a big deal, I will be a witness. I will not let you come for nothing." "Oh, so you are the son-in-law of sect leader Jiang," Xiaohua said with a smile. "This old man came in a hurry and did not ask about this. Since you are a disciple of the 10,000 Flowers Valley, this old man can be considered to have some friendship with the 10,000 Flowers Valley. I will give you some face." "Very good." Yu Tsong smiled proudly at Jiang Jiantong. Jiang Jiantong pointed his finger, and the Medicine King Cauldron flew back. However, he did not put it away and blocked in front of him. "Fellow Taoist, may I know your background? Has my 100 Herbs Gate offended you in any way?" Jiang Jiantong sneered. "Although my 100 Herbs Gate cannot be compared to the 10,000 Flowers Valley, the matter of you killing an elder of my 100 Herbs Gate cannot be easily erased. If you can't say anything, don't blame this old man for being merciless." Although Jiang Jiantong's voice was stern, there was still a trace of helplessness. If Xiao Hua's words were reasonable, then Huang Ri's death would be in vain. "Humph! If this old man did not have any evidence or reason, why would I come to Yellow Flower Ridge to look for you?" Xiao Hua also sneered. "This old man is afraid that this matter will be spread and I will lose face." "Oh, Senior." Yu Tsong smiled and said, "Since Senior is not willing to give your name, then tell me the matter. If the 100 Herbs Gate is wrong, Junior can make the decision and ask my father-in-law to give Senior a certain amount of compensation to quench Senior's anger." Xiao Hua nodded slightly, seemingly hesitant. With a wave of his hand, the true Samadhi fire on the formation disappeared and said, "I'm afraid this matter is a little difficult. However, this old man will still explain the matter. Otherwise, you will think this old man is unreasonable. Senior, please speak." Yu Tsong pretended to be gentle. Does your 100 Herbs Gate have a person called Xiao Xinrui?" Xiao Hua nodded and said, "She seems to be the dual cultivation partner of Sect Master Zhang's beloved son." -8. Chapter 22:15. "Oh." Yu Tsong was surprised. He looked at Jiang Jiantong and nodded. "There is indeed this female cultivator. She is my wife's sister-in-law. May I know why fellow Taoist is looking for her?" "Humph." Xiao Hua sneered. "Of course I'm looking for her. Since there is such a woman, why don't you quickly call her out?" "Fellow Taoist, you're so strange." Jiang Jiantong looked at Xiao Hua and asked, "Xiao Xinrui is a female member of my 100 Herbs Gate. If you don't explain the matter clearly, how can I let you see her? You are indeed jackals of the same tribe." Xiao Hua was angry, and the cloud-suppressing seal flew up again. "Senior, don't be anxious. Senior, don't be anxious." Yu Tsong naturally cupped his hands and said, "Senior, please explain clearly why you want to see Xiao Xinrui. Otherwise, it will make things difficult for us." "Humph." You're making things difficult for us. Xiao Hua looked angry. I've lost all my face. I asked around for a long time before I found out that this slut is a female cultivator from Yellow Flower Ridge. That's why I hurried over. Sigh, Senior, can't you just say it directly? In any case, I don't know who you are. Yutsong smiled bitterly. All right. Xiao Hua nodded. Did Xiao Xinrui obtain a spirit accumulation talisman from Chiyu City? Ah, yes. Yutsong glanced at Jiang Jiantong. The two of them exchanged glances, and Yutsong nodded. Yes, that spirit accumulation talisman was something I obtained from my sect for my disciple. That slut actually used such a method to cheat this old man out of his hands. Not only did this old man lose face, but his disciple's cultivation was also delayed because of this. Tell me, how can this old man not look for her? Xiao Hua said with some hesitation. But, Yutsong said curiously, Xiao Xinrui didn't say that. Moreover, with Senior's cultivation, how could she trick you? Shut up. Do you still need me to say this? Xiao Hua said angrily. How could this slut tell you the truth in front of you? Call this slut out, this old man. Xiao Hua hesitated again, as if he was hesitating because of 10,000 Flower Valley's involvement. I see. Yutsong sighed and said, Senior, you can't get the spirit-accumulating talisman from your sect anymore, which will delay your disciple's foundation establishment. It's really, alas, how should I put it? Only Senior and Xiao Xinrui know about this. Junior can't judge anything from Senior's words. Then call that bitch out. I'll ask her face to face. Xiao Hua said furiously. I'll say it again. Do you think you can meet the women of my 100 Herbs Gate just because you want to? Jiang Jiantong sneered. What you did was disgraceful, but it's also your own fault. There's no reason to blame my 100 Herbs Gate. Fellow Taoist, please go back. Ha ha ha. Xiao Hua laughed heartily. With a tap of his hand, the cloud-suppressing seal flew back into his hand. He said, the 100 Herbs Gate is actually so protective of their own. Then this old man doesn't care too much. This old man just wants to confront Xiao Xinrui face to face and see if this bitch is the one who deceived this old man that day. I want her to give this old man an explanation. Since sect leader Jiang wants to do this, then this old man will give up his face. Just you wait. This old man can't shake your 100 Herbs Gate alone. But this old man and his fellow disciples don't believe that we can't kill all of your 100 Herbs Gate. Then he cupped his hands towards Yutsong and said, Fellow Taoist your 10,000 Flowers Valley's face ends here. When this old man comes again, I hope you won't appear here. As he spoke, Xiao Hua's figure flew up, and he actually wanted to go far away. Seeing that Xiao Hua was about to leave without saying anything, Jiang Jiantong hurriedly gave Yutsong a look. Yutsong hesitated again. He understood that Jiang Jiantong wanted him to keep Xiao Hua here, but the purpose of keeping Xiao Hua here was definitely to hand over Xiao Xinrui. He had schemed for so long. Wasn't it just to get Xiao Xinrui? Xiao Xinrui had fallen into the hands of this unknown cultivator, and from his tone, he definitely wouldn't let her live. Wouldn't his efforts be in vain? However, if he didn't stop Xiao Hua, he would definitely not give up after hearing Xiao Hua's words. This guy was already so powerful. If he called a few more fellow disciples and found a few more helpers, even if the 100 Herbs Gate wasn't destroyed, its blood and qi would be greatly damaged. Fellow Taoist, wait. Yutsong hesitated, but Jiang Jiantong couldn't hesitate. He hurriedly called out. Oh? Sect leader Jiang, what? You still don't want this old man to leave? Xiao Hua stopped in the air and said coldly, This old man wants to see what means sect leader Jiang has to keep this old man here. Of course not. Jiang Jiantong smiled unusually brightly and cupped his hands, saying, Fellow Taoist, you misunderstood. What's there to misunderstand? Although Xiao Hua's voice was changed by the confusion, it was still full of doubts. Then, as if he suddenly realized something, he said, Could it be? Sect leader Jiang. That's right. Jiang Jiantong said loudly, Xiao Xinrui was naturally the daughter-in-law of my 100 Herbs Gate. No matter where you come from, even if the sect leader of the magnificent sect came in person, this old man wouldn't call her out, even if she did something wrong. What about now? Xiao Hua's heart sank, and he said anxiously, "Now." Jiang Jiantong glanced at Yu Tsong, whose expression had changed, and said coldly, "Xiao Xinrui is no longer the daughter-in-law of my 100 Herbs Gate. She's cut off all ties with my 100 Herbs Gate, so this old man naturally has no intention of protecting her. Even if fellow Taoists didn't come today, this old man would have driven her out of 100 Herbs Gate." Ha 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 ha, Xiao Hua laughed heartily. He was really happy. His whole body swayed in the air, and he said with a smile, "If that's the case, then hurry up and hand that bitch over." This old man still wanted to confront that bitch, but now you've saved me the trouble. Sect leader Zhang's righteousness. This poor Taoist appreciates it. In the future, if there's a chance, I'll repay you well. No need. Jiang Jiantong cupped his hands and said, "This old man has always convinced people with reason, and I'll correct any mistakes. Since Xiao Xinrui offended fellow Taoist many years ago, and she's no longer related to my 100 Herbs Gate, I'll naturally hand her over to fellow Taoists to deal with." Then, Jiang Jiantong clapped his hands and sent out a message talisman. Fellow Taoist, Jiang Jiantong waited for the message talisman to be sent out, then smiled apologetically and said, "Since the matter has been clarified, everything was done by that bitch, Xiao Xinrui, and it has nothing to do with my 100 Herbs Gate. Fellow Taoist, you don't have to hide your identity, right? If possible, my 100 Herbs Gate is very willing to form a good relationship with you. Fellow Taoist, please come to my 100 Herbs Gate's Yellow Flower Ridge for a chat." "Ha ha, of course." Xiao Hua laughed. "Since Xiao Xinrui is no longer related to your 100 Herbs Gate, I can rest assured. When Xiao Xinrui comes out, I will naturally give Sect Leader Jiang an explanation. Don't worry, Sect Leader Jiang, you're such a righteous person. How can I not give Sect Leader Jiang a pleasant surprise?" -8. Chapter 22:16. Ha ha ha. Jiang Jiantong stroked his beard, thinking how lucky he was. Fortunately, he drove Xiao Xinrui out of 100 Herbs Gate today. Otherwise, it would have been really difficult. Xiao Hua's background was unknown, and his cultivation level was so high. Needless to say, he had a background, so it would be really unwise for 100 Herbs Gate to become enemies. A moment later, just as Xiao Hua's heart was burning with anxiety, fearing that an accident might happen, two female cultivators appeared from within the formation. One of them was Zhang Yin, who was at the early stage of foundation establishment, and the other one who was grabbed by the neck by Zhang Yin was Xiao Xinrui, who was covered in blood and had her cultivation completely destroyed. At this time, not only was Xiao Xinrui's body covered in blood, but her Taoist robe was also covered in mud and dust. She looked no different from a beggar. Moss. Xiao Hua's heart trembled, and the whole world in front of him shook as if it had been turned upside down. Xiao Hua suddenly woke up, and his gaze was like a sharp sword as he looked in a direction. There was a throbbing in that place just now, and then it disappeared without a trace. There was no abnormality, and it was the same as Xiao Hua's perception at the beginning. Yes, it should be Jiang Jiantong's secret move. Xiao Hua understood, but he didn't remind him. He knew that this was a secret move that Jiang Jiantong had set up to prevent him. However, Xiao Hua's most important goal at this time was to capture Xiao Xinrui. As for the rest, even if it was to kill Jiang Jiantong, destroying 100 Herbs Gate was a small matter. Yinner. Jiang Jiantong saw this and couldn't help but be stunned. He scolded in a low voice, "What's going on? When father left, didn't you say not to do anything?" "Haha, father." Jiang Yin chuckled. "Didn't this bitch want to destroy her cultivation and stay in 100 Herbs Gate? Your daughter just followed her wishes. What's wrong with that?" Jiang Jiantong naturally knew what Jiang Yin was thinking, so he didn't say anything more. He turned around and said, "Fellow Taoist, Xiao Xinrui made some fatal mistakes. In order to stay in my 100 Herbs Gate, she promised to destroy her cultivation. Now she's a secular person. However, I have already promised fellow Taoists that I'll give it to you. This way, I'm afraid you'll save a lot of trouble. Amen, Sect Leader Jiang, and Jiang family's young miss, you truly make this poor Taoist happy. You've truly exceeded this poor Taoist's expectations." Xiao Hua laughed from extreme anger. quickly hand this slut over to this poor Taoist, so this poor Taoist can give you an explanation. Zhang Jianong was not in a hurry to hand over the person. Instead, he looked at Xiao Xinrui and said with a smile, Xiao Xinrui, it's not that this old man is not merciless. It's not that this old man doesn't keep his word, but that you've sinned in the past. Now, retribution has come. This old man has no choice but to hand you over. I can't let you stay in my 100 Herbs Gate. Sect leader Jiang, Xiao Xinrui said sadly, I really don't understand what sin I've committed. I only wanted to stay by my own boy's side. Now, I'm just short of ruining my face. Why are you going back on your words? Humph. Zhang Jintong glanced at Xiao Hua and said coldly, You should ask this fellow Taoist. You took away someone else's divine accumulation talisman and successfully built your foundation. Your strength is also higher than that of ordinary cultivators. However, when you cheated that day, you didn't think that even though you've built your foundation, you're doomed to destruction for doing evil. Now, retribution has come. Destroying your own cultivation base is also karma, isn't it? What? I cheated someone else's divine accumulation talisman? Xiao Xinrui looked at Xiao Hua in disbelief and said pitifully, Senior, when did I ever cheat you of your divine accumulation talisman? Who are you, Senior? I got this divine accumulation talisman from a strange person. I didn't cheat it from someone else. But then, Xiao Xinrui seemed to realize something. She looked at Jiang Jiantong and said angrily, Sect leader Jiang, could this be your doing? If you wanted to drive me away, that's fine. But why did you go back on your words after my cultivation was destroyed? Now that you don't want me to be with Jiang Luer, you should kill me. Enough. Jiang Jintong didn't want to explain anything to Xiao Xinrui, nor did he want to blame his daughter. He waved his hand and said, Jiang Yi, hand this slut over to this senior. Wait. Jiang Yi waved his hand and said with a cold smile, Senior, you killed an elder of our 100 Herbs Gate and captured our young madam. Our 100 Herbs Gate seems to be very lenient towards you. Can't you tell us the truth and let us know who you are? Why did you let our 100 Herbs Gate suffer like this? Senior, don't you think you should give us an explanation? Jiang Yi, who was from the 10,000 Flowers Valley, dared to question Xiao Hua. However, he couldn't rule out the possibility that it was Jiang Jintong's order. Humph. Xiao Hua snorted coldly and said, Why would I let you know who I am? Since this slut has ended up like this, I'm already happy in my heart. Since you don't want to hand this slut over, let her stay here. I don't want her anymore. As he spoke, Xiao Hua turned around and seemed to intend to fly away. However, right at the instant he turned around, the soaring WIRM shears that had always been sitting cross-legged around him suddenly flashed with a dazzling brilliance, and it tore through the sky like a bolt of lightning. Jiang Yi screamed. The soaring dragon shears cut off Jiang Yi's right hand without any delay. Jiang Yi's protective yellow talisman didn't have any effect at all. Immediately after, Xiao Hua used the bright thunder escape and rushed towards Xiao Xinrui. What are you doing? Yu Tsong saw Xiao Hua's action and saw Jiang Yi's right hand fall off. He panicked and suddenly realized that Xiao Hua's target was Xiao Xinrui. He unconsciously waved his hand and threw a fireball talisman at Xiao Xinrui. You dare? Xiao Hua's speed was still not enough. He pushed his magic power without regard for his life, and the bright thunder escape technique instantly surpassed its limit. Rumble. With just half a thunderous sound, Xiao Hua broke through the sound barrier, and a series of explosions rang out. Xiao Hua's lightning escape technique broke through to the realm of controlling lightning. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Hua rushed to Xiao Xinrui's side. He flung his Taoist robe, and the heaven and earth sleeve technique covered Xiao Xinrui. The fireball hit the light around Xiao Xinrui and couldn't penetrate it at all. Evil thief. Seeing Jiang Yi's screams and her broken arm, Jiang Jintong also woke up. He roared in anger and had the same idea as Yukong. He waved his hand, and the spiritual power in his body surged. A big palm print grabbed Xiao Xinrui, who had already been captured. Jiang Jinhong thought that his move would definitely break through Xiao Hua's spell and turn Xiao Xinrui into minced meat. After all, Xiao Hua's strength was only in the middle stage of foundation establishment. who knew that with a pong sound, the palm fell on the light around Xiao Xinrui and was smashed into pieces. It seemed that it couldn't stop Xiao Xinrui's flying figure. Xiao Hua only wanted to save Xiao Xinrui and didn't have the mind to tangle with Zhang Jiantong and the others. Seeing Xiao Xinrui fly closer, he grabbed her waist and turned around to fly back to the place where he was just a few dozen feet away from 100 Herbs Gate. Seeing Xiao Hua's flying technique, Yutsong suddenly woke up and immediately thought of Xiao Hua from Weeping Moon City. He anxiously said, "A disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect? Fellow Taoist, what are you doing? Even if you are a disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect, you can't bully me in front of my 100 Herbs Gate." Hearing that Xiao Hua might be a disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect, Zhang Jiantong's face changed greatly. For 100 Herbs Gate, the Imperial Thunder Sect was no less than a colossus, far from what he could afford to offend. Zhang Yi's hand and Huang Ri's death. I'm afraid there won't be any explanation. What puzzled Zhang Jiantong the most was why Xiao Hua had to capture Xiao Xinrui. But at this moment, Xiao Hua, who had turned around, suddenly pointed his finger. The Tongjiao scissors, which had already flown into the air, slid down again and rushed towards Jiang Yi's neck. Before the Tongjiao scissors could fall, an extremely fierce murderous aura enveloped Jiang Yi. The murderous aura scared Jiang Yi, who almost fainted from the pain, and he shouted, "Father, save me!" Zhang Jianong originally wanted to use the Medicine King Cauldron, but when he saw that Xiao Hua might be a disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect, he stopped and hesitated to ask. At this time, seeing that Jiang Yi's life was in danger, he didn't dare to hesitate. The Medicine King Cauldron emitted a bronze brilliance and blocked Xiao Hua's Tongjiao scissors. He roared angrily, "Who dares to hurt my boy?" Looking at Yu Tsong again, he also hesitated for a moment. He also activated his magical instrument, and several peach blossoms spun and rushed towards Xiao Hua. "Kill!" Xiao Hua roared, showing no mercy. A golden light flashed, and it was the Medicine King Cauldron. Dang! With a loud sound, golden light splashed on the Medicine King Cauldron, and a very obvious mark was left on it. The Tongjiao scissors were also knocked to the side. Hiss! This Medicine King Cauldron was Zhang Jiantong's magical instrument, and it was not weaker than ordinary magical instruments. At this time, seeing that Xiao Hua actually injured the Medicine King Cauldron effortlessly, he was distressed and shocked. He was once again sure that Xiao Hua's cultivation was definitely not lower than the late stage of foundation establishment. However, what made him even more frightened was still behind. He had just sucked in a breath of cold air when Xiao Hua, whose magical instrument was knocked away, unexpectedly did not retreat, but instead flew towards him. How fast was Xiao Hua at this time? Zhang Jiantong's eyes had just become filled with shock, and Xiao Hua had already flown to within 1 zhang. However, when Xiao Hua opened his mouth, a green and red brilliance flashed, and a kind of fear from the bottom of his heart was born, as if this brilliance was the end of his life. Flying sword. After all, Zhang Jiantong was a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator, and he forcibly broke free from the boundless karma on the execution dream. With a wave of his hand, his defensive magical power was about to block the execution dream. Just as he activated his magical power, suddenly, there was a piercing pain in his divine sense, as if an awl had pierced into his body. Zhang Jiantong involuntarily cried out. How could he still use that technique? Wu, with a sound, the execution dream instantly flew to Zhang Jiantong's throat, and with a burst of light, the flying sword pierced Zhang Jiantong's throat. The moment the execution dream pierced Zhang Jiantong's throat, Zhang Jiantong's body suddenly swayed, and he actually strangely rose a little. The execution dream actually did not pierce his throat, but instead pierced under his throat, where the shoulder blade was. Ha ha ha, Yu Tsong, you really have good eyesight. When Xiao Hua saw that the execution dream had succeeded, he did not dare to see if he had pierced Zhang Jiantong's vital parts, nor was he in a hurry to kill him. Instead, he turned around and flew away from the scene. He laughed loudly as he removed the mystic insect and shouted loudly, "Fuck you! Look who I am!" -8. Chapter 22:17. Ah, Xiao Hua. When Jiang Jintong saw Xiao Hua's slender figure, two slender eyebrows, and phoenix-like eyes, he couldn't help but cover his wounds with his hands and cry out in surprise. That's right, Xiao Hua, you still remember me. Xiao Hua laughed. Since you know it's me, you must know why I'm here. Isn't it normal for me to kill you? Little junior brother, is it really you? Xiao Xinrui's eyes flashed with surprise. She looked up at the familiar face and felt a little dizzy. That's right, senior sister, it's me. Xiao Hua said warmly. Since I'm here, you can rest assured. Not to mention your injuries, even with your cultivation, I'm sure I can heal you. Just wait for me to kill this bastard who killed me, Shang Huaming, and chase away all the disciples of the 100 Herbs Gate. Then, I, Shang Huaming, will be able to return Yellow Blossom Ridge to myself. Then, Xiao Hua raised his voice. Xiao Hua, you've been plotting to kill me for decades. I've been thinking about this all the time. I've been thinking about avenging my master, eldest senior brother, and second senior brother. Previously, I still had some merciful thoughts. Since senior sister endured humiliation in 100 Herbs Gate, if she had any feelings for me, it would really make things difficult for me. But now, it seems that I've been thinking too much. Since you know the way of karma, I don't need to say more. That was just a warning. Killing you is as easy as lifting a finger. Come forward obediently and let yours truly kill you. I can also consider whether to release the 100 Herbs Gate's disciples. I'll let your 100 Herbs Gate have a chance to live, or I'll kill all your disciples today. You. Jiang Jintong's expression changed greatly. He knew that Xiao Hua's cultivation was not much inferior to his, but he still argued, shameless junior. Back then, I let you live, but now you're biting back like a wolf. You were able to leave Yellow Flower Ridge safely and cultivate to the early stage of foundation establishment. At that time, you were thinking of my kindness. How can you repay kindness with enmity? Ha ha ha, Xiao Hua laughed even more wildly. He looked sideways at Xiao Xinrui and said, How could I not know how I escaped from Yellow Flower Ridge that day? If it weren't for my senior sister enduring humiliation and cleverly dealing with him, how could I have escaped from Jiang Fan's hands? Look at my senior sister today. She was actually humiliated to such an extent by all of you. How can this young master show mercy to your 100 Herbs Gate? Furthermore, how could this young master forget the enmity of having his sect annihilated? Today is the day that I, Shang Huaming, am reborn, and also the day that your 100 Herbs Gate is destroyed. Little junior brother, don't try to be brave. I'm afraid your cultivation isn't as high as Jiang Jintong's. If you can take senior sister away, then leave now. We'll talk about it when we have the chance in the future. Xiao Xinrui had lost her cultivation, so she didn't know what Xiao Hua's cultivation was like. However, she knew what Xiao Hua's cultivation was like back then. In her heart, Xiao Hua's cultivation was definitely not higher than hers. The battle just now was like a white horse galloping through a crack. How would she know? Hee, senior sister. I'm afraid you've forgotten about the divine accumulation talisman, haven't you? Xiao Hua looked at Xiao Xinrui's pale face and said with heartache. However, his attention was still focused on the place where there was some movement just now. He was afraid that Jiang Jintong would suddenly attack. That cultivator was you? Xiao Xinrui suddenly understood why Xiao Hua had mentioned the divine accumulation talisman just now. Unconsciously, a glimmer of light appeared in her eyes, and the gratification in her eyes was more than the surprise. Family members were family members, and others couldn't compare to them. In their hearts, there was only gratification and happiness. Any surprise was secondary. Xiao Hua. Jiang Jinhong glanced at Xiao Xinrui and said solemnly, I've already told you the truth about Xiao Xinrui. She made a mistake first. It's my right to punish her. If you want to kill me because of this, I won't make things too difficult for you. After all, you don't know much. It's understandable that you did it for your senior sister. You killed an elder of my 100 Herbs Gate, injured this old man's daughter, and even injured this old man. This is the price I have to pay for destroying Xiao Xinrui's cultivation. However, this is my bottom line. As for killing Shang Huaming, to tell you the truth, I don't know. If you hate my 100 Herbs Gate because of this, it's your fault. Ha ha ha, Xiao Hua looked at the already injured Jiang Jiantong. He had a card up his sleeve and wasn't afraid of wasting time. He looked around and saw the several early foundation-building elders of 100 Herbs Gate as well as Yu Tsong, whose face showed fear. He laughed and said, "Who doesn't know how to explain themselves? If it wasn't your 100 Herbs Gate who killed me, Shang Huoming, in order to seize my foundation, you killed my master and 2 senior brothers. You forced my master's only daughter to marry your 100 Herbs Gate's young master, so that you could seize my reputation. Now that you saw that my senior sister was useless, you immediately wanted to kill her. But you were afraid that the news would spread and ruin your reputation, so you fabricated some groundless charges to impose on her. Not only did you want to drive her out of Yellow Flower Ridge, but you also destroyed her cultivation. Do you think I can't see through such a sinister act? Forget it. I've already said what I need to say. Why should I dawdle with you?" Xiao Hua pointed at the soaring dragon scissors. The scissors once again emitted a golden brilliance, restless. "Xiao Hua, you're really wrong." At this point, Jiang Jianhong knew that it was useless to defend himself, but he still didn't want the crime of killing Shang Huoming to fall on his head. "I really only wanted to marry Shang Huoming. Later on, I occupied Yellow Flower Ridge because I saw that Shang Huoming wasn't killed. Say no more." Xiao Hua was too lazy to say more and was about to activate his magic power. "Xiao Hua, don't forget." Jiang Jiantong suddenly thought of something and hurriedly shouted, "I'm not afraid of you. You have to think about Shang Huoming's mountain-protecting flood dragon. How could my 100 Herbs Gate kill it?" Xiao Hua hesitated slightly, looked at a place not far away and sneered, "You don't have the ability, but that doesn't mean you can't ask for help. Now that things have come to this, why bother explaining? Let me send you to your death." "Humph," Jiang Jiantong sneered and released the hand that was covering his wound. The bloody hole from before was gradually closing up. "This old man has already made it clear to you. If you insist on fighting, do you think this old man will be afraid of you? Yu Tsong, attack Xiao Xinrui. I want to see how many hands Xiao Hua has." Wu, after Jiang Jiantong finished giving the order, he activated the magic power in his body. Jiang Jiantong let out a long howl, and his body swelled like a balloon. His figure gradually stretched, and his aura gradually increased. He actually had the strength close to the golden core stage. Haha, how interesting. Xiao Hua wasn't afraid of him and said with a smile, "What kind of cultivation method is this?" -8. Chapter 22:18. Junior brother. Xiao Xinrui said anxiously, "This is my secret technique. It's something that father couldn't cultivate successfully. I'm afraid you're no match for him." "Don't be afraid," Xiao Hua said with a smile. "When I kill him, I'll take back all my techniques." "Junior brother, you can't kill him," Xiao Xinrui suddenly said. "What?" Xiao Hua was stunned and looked at Xiao Xinrui in disbelief. Why? Xiao Xinrui said in a low voice, "Like you, I've always suspected that the 100 Herbs sect was behind this. But from Zhang Fanhe's observations over the past few decades, I'm afraid that the 100 Herbs sect really has nothing to do with the extermination of my sect. And the most important thing is that Jiang Jiantong is Jiang Luer's grandfather. I don't want Jiang Luer to hate his mother." Xiao Hua was in a difficult position. Looking at Jiang Jiantong and Yu Tsong, he was really unwilling, but he didn't want to make things difficult for Xiao Xinrui. So he hesitated and said, "Senior sister, now that you've become like this, should we just let it go?" Little brother is truly unwilling to accept this. Xiao Xinrui nodded and said, "Junior brother is now a disciple of the Imperial Thunder sect, so you don't have to fear the 10,000 Flowers Valley. Then kill Yu Tsong. This thief is really hateful." "Okay." Xiao Hua's eyes flashed with a trace of fierceness. "Also, if possible, take Jiang Luer away from Yellow Flower Ridge. I don't want to leave Jiang Luer here." Xiao Xinrui said again. "Okay." Xiao Hua nodded and said, "Senior sister, stay by my side. Let's see how I'll vent your anger for you." After saying that, Xiao Hua looked at Jiang Jiantong. At this time, Jiang Jiantong was about 3 meters tall, like a demon god. His body flashed with a light green brilliance, which seemed to be a kind of defense. Xiaohua, if you had directly killed me just now, I might have really died in your hands, but you actually gave me time to breathe. That's a big mistake. Jiang Jiantong smiled proudly. I'll show you Shang Huoming's unique skill and let you die on Yellow Flower Ridge. With that, Jiang Jiantong's figure swayed and flew toward Xiaohua. Humph, that's all you got. Xiaohua smiled faintly. His shoulders shook, and with a loud cry, the phoenix Dharma body flew out of his body. It flapped its wings that were several meters long and flew towards Jiang Jiantong. Phoenix Dharma body? Haha, so you're also a disciple of an aristocratic family. Jiang Jiantong laughed heartily. Before he could stop laughing, he clenched his fist and smashed it toward the embodiment like a meteor. Ka-cha-cha! A thunderous sound rang out. A bolt of lightning suddenly appeared between the claws of the phoenix Dharma body, and it swiftly struck at Jiang Jiantong's fist. At the same time, the phoenix celestial body flapped its wings, and dark clouds began to cover Yellow Flower Ridge. Thunder and lightning could be heard from the clouds. Wasn't it the thunder summoning technique that the Thunder Beast Dharma body displayed when Xue Xue was building her foundation? Pa-pa-pa, the lightning struck Jiang Jiantong, and the purplish-red lightning destroyed the light green brilliance, smashing Jiang Jiantong's fist into pieces. Ah, Jiang Jiantong was in pain and was sent flying backward. His body had shrunk somewhat. Isn't it too late to leave now? Xiaohua sneered. The phoenix Dharma body stirred again, and another bolt of lightning descended from the sky, striking at Jiang Jiantong. What kind of cultivator is this? The 100 Herbs sect disciples present were all stunned. Lai Hong, who originally wanted to save Jiang Jiantong, didn't even dare to extend his hand. Jiang Jiantong's strength was already close to the Golden Core realm, but he wasn't a match for Xiaohua's thunder-controlling technique. If he went up, wouldn't he be courting death? Looking at Yutsong again, he had already used his Peach Blossom Dharma artifact. Seeing that Xiaohua didn't care about him and was attacking Jiang Jiantong ferociously, he was secretly delighted. He hurriedly protected himself and secretly thought about how to escape. But just as the phoenix Dharma body summoned the heavenly lightning to kill Jiang Jiantong, Yutsong suddenly saw Xiaohua, who was facing him from the side, suddenly turn his head and grin at him. He was shocked. But just as he thought of using his Dharma power again, he felt pain in his divine sense, and his Dharma power dissipated. A golden light flashed, and the soaring dragon scissors slashed down from the sky, splitting all the peach blossoms into two. Yutsong's physical body was also split into two. However, despite the sharpness of the soaring WIRM scissors, Yutsong's body merely fell flat without any abnormalities. It was only when Xiaohua waved his hand and picked up Yutsong's storage bag that the two pieces of the corpse were separated. Husband, Jiang Hong had already taken an elixir, and the bleeding on her right hand had stopped. Seeing that Yutsong was killed, she couldn't help but shout. Xiaohua squinted at Jiang Hong. He knew that Xiao Xinrui wouldn't let him kill this woman, so he couldn't be bothered with her. The heavenly lightning summoned by the phoenix Dharma body fell like raindrops, striking Jiang Jiantong into the air. His skin and flesh were lacerated, and he could no longer maintain his previous power. Not only was he beaten back to his original state, but he was also severely injured. Senior Xiao, please spare my life. Zhang Fan's voice came. He was the young master of the 100 Herbs sect. With such a big commotion in front of Yellow Flower Ridge, it was impossible for him not to come out. Seeing that Jiang Jiantong was severely injured, he hurriedly explained, Shang Huoming's annihilation has nothing to do with my 100 Herbs sect. Please forgive us, Senior Xiao. We will immediately withdraw from Yellow Flower Ridge and return it to you, Senior Xiao. Where is Zhang Luer? Xiaohua said coldly, bring him out. Yes, Zhang Luer is here. Zhang Fan turned around and said to a disciple of the 100 Herbs sect, quickly bring Zhang Luer over. Yes. The female disciple who was carrying Zhang Luer responded. She hurriedly activated the flying charm and flew toward Xiaohua, trembling with fear. But at this moment, Jiang Hong, who was not far away, suddenly moved. Her remaining hand grabbed at Zhang Luer like a claw, and she said fiercely, Xiao Xinrui, you killed my husband. I will kill your son. Lure. Xiao Xinrui was shocked. Humph. Xiao Hua sneered. He opened his mouth and the dream-killing flying sword was about to fly out. However, Xiao Hua frowned again. Xiao Hua was confident that he could cut off Zhang Hong's other hand before she could touch Zhang Lure. However, he couldn't kill Zhang Hong because he was afraid that Zhang Hong would hurt Zhang Lure. Idiot! You are too soft-hearted again. A voice that Xiao Hua was very familiar with rang out. Then, a black flame suddenly appeared on top of Zhang Hong's head and enveloped her. Zhang Hong only had time to scream. Her whole body was surrounded by the black flame, and in a moment, she was burned to ashes. Zhang Qingxiao? Sect leader Zhang? Xiao Hua suddenly turned his head and looked coldly at the source of the voice. He said curiously, "You are really everywhere. Last time, I spared your life, but you didn't repent and still showed up in front of me. What are you doing here today? I don't need you to help me." Ha 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 ha. If I wasn't here, wouldn't you have hurt my nephew? Zhang Qingxiao's handsome face gradually appeared in mid-air. There was joy and heartache on his face. Nephew? Xiao Hua was surprised. He pointed at Zhang Lure and said, How did he become your nephew? He is obviously the child of my senior sister. Qingxiao? You are Qingxiao? Xiao Xinrui didn't care who it was. She only trembled slightly when she heard Zhang Qingxiao's name. However, it wasn't until she took Zhang Lure from the terrified 100 Herbs Gate disciples that she turned to look at the handsome Zhang Qingxiao with an incredulous gaze. Senior sister, forget it. Second senior brother isn't so handsome. Xiao Hua curled his lips. He had a kind of expectation in his heart. He knew that he could change his appearance. As the sect leader of Heavenly Demon Sect, how could Zhang Qingxiao not change his appearance? But the problem was, how did his eccentric second senior brother, who had already been killed, become the sect leader of Heavenly Demon Sect? Although his cultivation wasn't frighteningly high, his secret techniques were endless, far beyond his expectations. Speak. How did my senior sister's child become your nephew? Xiao Hua scolded Zhang Qingxiao. Damn it, how do you call Zhang Lure? Zhang Qingxiao's face showed a trace of strangeness as he scolded again. This. Xiao Hua scratched his head and whispered, Senior sister, how should I call Zhang Lure? Xiao Xinrui finally smiled today. She lovingly looked at Zhang Lure, who was in her arms, and said, You naturally have to call him nephew. Oh, so that's how it is. Xiao Hua's face was slightly embarrassed, but he raised his eyebrows and said, Sect leader Zhang, this nephew is exclusive to me. My senior brother and second senior brother both died. Don't claim to be relatives here for no reason. I don't have a full moon banquet for you to drink. Seeing that Xiao Hua didn't recognize him, Zhang Qingxiao was flustered and exasperated. He pointed his finger and said, Damn it, I'm not dead yet. Being cursed by you like this, I'm afraid I'll lose a few more years of my life. Xiao Hua's heart warmed. His eyes were somewhat blurry, but he still didn't dare to believe it. After all, there were too many unfathomable methods on Xiaoyu continent. Who knew if this Zhang Qingxiao was the same Zhang Qingxiao? You should let me see what my second senior brother looks like. Your captivating appearance is not my second senior brother's skin. Xiao Hua's eyes were fixed on Zhang Qingxiao, but his magic power was surging. Motherfucker, I'm handsome to begin with. Now I'm even more charming. How can a beautiful appearance be so good? Zhang Qingxiao smugly touched her own face. Her expression was exactly the same as Zhang Qingxiao's from before. Then, Zhang Qingxiao's face gradually changed. Seeing Zhang Qingxiao's face that was so familiar to him that it was as if it was engraved in his mind, Xiao Hua couldn't help but tear up. He knew in his heart that Zhang Qingxiao was just a minor character in Shanghuaming, and Shanghuaming was a small and unknown sect on the Dawnrain continent. It was impossible for the sect master of a sect, like the Heavenly Demon Sect, to know of Zhang Qingxiao. In particular, Heavenly Demon Sect rose after Zhang Qingxiao's death. Even if this Zhang Qingxiao was different from the previous Zhang Qingxiao, there must be a connection. Senior sister, do you think this guy is second senior brother? Xiao Hua asked in a low voice. Yes or no? What's the difference? Xiao Xinrui's eyes were also happy. I'm now a cripple. I only have Zhang Luer to rely on. What can others covet? -8. Chapter 22:19. Good. Xiao Hua nodded and said to Zhang Qingxiao, since senior sister has temporarily agreed, then I won't doubt you. However, I'm going to leave with senior sister. Do you want to follow? Do you want to explain to me why you were so ruthless to me? Damn it. You said I was ruthless. Zhang Qingxiao stomped his feet. I almost died in your hands last time. You still want to explain to me? Hee. You didn't die, did you? Xiao Hua smiled sinisterly. Wait until you're dead. With that, Xiao Hua grabbed Xiao Xinrui and flew away. But Zhang Qingxiao stood there quietly, not moving an inch. Oh, you're not coming? Xiao Hua asked curiously. Zhang Qingxiao narrowed his eyes and looked at the people of 100 Herbs Gate in the distance. He smiled and said, This yellow flower ridge is my territory. The people of 100 Herbs Gate should leave. They've occupied the nest for so many years. It's time for them to scram. But senior sister has some difficulties. Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. Senior sister doesn't allow us to fight. Ha ha ha. Zhang Qingxiao clapped his hand and grabbed the blood-red flag. He smiled and said, I'm Shang Huoming's second disciple and your second senior brother. I'm the leader here. I'm the one who's right. With that, the small flag in his hand shook. A gust of wind and clouds surged. Dozens of pitch-black lights flashed and attacked the people of 100 Herbs Gate in the air. Qingxiao, stop. They're all Zhang Luer's relatives. Xiao Xinrui was shocked, but how could Zhang Qingxiao listen? He could have met Xiao Xinrui long ago, but seeing that Xiao Xinrui was happy in 100 Herbs Gate and that Zhang Fan treated her sincerely, he also knew that 100 Herbs Gate was not the culprit who killed Shang Huoming, so he didn't bother to interfere. So he sent a disciple to sneak into 100 Herbs Gate and report all the abnormalities to him. When something happened to Xiao Xinrui, the disciple had already sent a message, and Zhang Qingxiao also rushed over immediately. He had concealed himself at the side and witnessed everything that Xiao Hua had done. He knew that Xiao Hua had actually come to avenge him, his eldest senior brother, and his master. Naturally, his suspicions towards Xiao Hua had been completely dispelled. However, when he saw Xiao Xinrui in such a miserable state, no matter how profound his cultivation was, he still revealed his killing intent. Only then did Xiao Hua discover it again. Now Xiao Xinrui actually asked him to hold back. How could he listen to Xiao Xinrui? He didn't care about Zhang Luer's relatives. It had nothing to do with Xiao Xinrui or Shang Huoming. The people of 100 Herbs Gate were in trouble. Previously, he had seen Xiao Hua's bravery and invincibility, easily injuring Jiang Jiantong. He was already trembling with fear. But who would have thought that the most vicious and merciless was yet to come? The sect master of the heavenly demon sect, whose reputation had already spread far and wide, was actually Shang Huoming's Zhang Qingxiao. A single demonic flame had turned Jiang'an into ashes. Jiang'an was an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator. The only thing left for everyone was their guts being torn apart. Just now, when they heard Xiao Hua's words, they knew that he was worried about Xiao Xinrui's thoughts. But just as this joy was born, the demonic flame, which was as arrogant as a gust of wind, fell from the sky, accompanied by Zhang Qingxiao's incomparable anger. Everyone didn't dare to be negligent. They hurriedly used their magical powers, yellow talismans, and magic arts, trying to escape. Unfortunately, they were no match for Xiao Hua, and it was even more difficult for them to enter Zhang Qingxiao's eyes. Together with the seriously injured Jiang Jiantong and Jiang Fan, they were all killed by Zhang Qingxiao without much resistance. Seeing the regret and horror on Jiang Fan's face, Xiao Xinrui was also very anxious. After all, he was Zhang Luer's biological father. She didn't know how to explain it to Zhang Luer when she grew up. However, just as Jiang Fan's body was ignited by the black flame, and he was turned into ashes with a few painful screams, Xiao Xinrui's heart suddenly relaxed, as if all the heavy burden and oppression had disappeared in an instant. Alas! A trace of helplessness flashed in Xiao Hua's eyes, and he thought to himself, if I had known this would happen, Why did I do it in the first place? The 100 Herbs Gate schemed against me, Shang Huoming, and only occupied Yellow Flower Ridge for a few more decades. Their sphere of influence has increased a lot, but now they have all fallen into my hands again. The 100 Herbs Gate. I'm afraid it will cease to exist from now on. Go. Kill all the disciples of the 100 Herbs Gate. Zhang Qingxiao ordered in a low voice after killing Jiang Jiantong and the others. The several cultivators at the middle stage of Foundation establishment who had received the order later all bowed and said, "We understand." Qingxiao. Xiao Xinrui said anxiously, "The ordinary disciples of the 100 Herbs Gate don't deserve to die. Let them live." Humph! How dare they trample on my Yellow Flower Ridge? These disciples deserve to die. Zhang Qingxiao was unmoved and ordered again. Kill all the disciples of the 100 Herbs Gate on Medicine Nong Peak. Yes. Qingxiao. Xiao Xinrui said anxiously, "I know you have great power now and can decide the life and death of thousands of people with a word, but you can't abuse it like this. The disciples of the 100 Herbs Gate on Medicine Nong Peak are innocent. You can't kill all of them." Humph! I didn't intend to destroy the 100 Herbs Gate. Zhang Qingxiao looked at Xiao Xinrui and said, "However, since the 100 Herbs Gate dared to torture junior sister like this, I won't be able to calm my anger if I don't kill all of them. Besides, if I want to kill, I have to kill to the end. If you dilly-dally like junior brother, who knows what the remnants of the 100 Herbs Gate will do in the future? It won't be good for junior sister or Zhang Luer." Then, Zhang Qingxiao looked up at the bleeding Yellow Flower Ridge and said coldly, "The world can betray me, Zhang Qingxiao, and my heavenly demon sect, but they can't betray my junior sister, my senior brother, my master, and Shang Huoming. Those who hurt my loved ones, even if they are thousands of miles away, I will kill them all." Sigh. Xiao Hua knew that what Zhang Qingxiao said was the truth, and what he did was very satisfying. But he always felt that he was ruthless, and compassion grew in his heart. And since Zhang Qingxiao had made a move, he couldn't interfere. Forget it. If thousands of people do the same thing, I'm afraid there will be thousands of different ways. I'm afraid there will be thousands of thoughts. I have my own way of doing things. I have a clear conscience, and a clear conscience. I don't care about others. Xiao Hua understood. I'm afraid that second senior brother's way of doing things is also clear of his heart and clear of his world. This is the only way. He is the heavenly demon sect leader, and I am not. That. Xiao Hua, don't you feel tired standing in the air? After a while, Zhang Qingxiao looked at Xiao Hua and said, "Junior sister, why don't you let me support you for a while?" If it was the previous Zhang Qingxiao, Xiao Hua wouldn't say a word. But now, Xiao Hua really couldn't be at ease. -8. Chapter 22:20. Hold Luer for a while. Zhang Luer was already tired and had fallen asleep in Xiao Xinrui's arms. He didn't know that all his family members had been killed except for his mother. Xiao Xinrui's injuries hadn't healed, so she felt weak holding him. "Okay." Zhang Qingxiao smacked her lips and flew over. She took Zhang Luer while Xiao Hua was slightly on guard. Poor Luer. Xiao Xinrui looked at Zhang Qingxiao, who was not very familiar with holding the child, and couldn't help but sigh. Half a day ago, his mother was about to be driven away, and he almost recognized someone else as his mother. Now his mother is safe, and his father and grandfather are gone. Tist! Zhang Qingxiao sneered. Since he can pretend to be his mother, why can't he pretend to be his father and grandfather? Even if it's an aunt, we can find her again. Okay. Xiao Xinrui already understood Zhang Qingxiao's meaning. He showed his true identity in front of the disciples of the 100 Herbs sect and revealed his true identity. Zhang Luer was still young, and his memory was not clear. It was very easy to find a few cultivators to be his family members. Wasn't that Jiang Jiantong's plan? Anyway, his mother was still alive, so he had to confirm the truth himself. After a while, a disciple of the Heavenly Devil sect in the middle stage of Foundation establishment came back to report that all the disciples of the 100 Herbs sect in Yellow Flower Ridge had been killed. "Well, have you cleaned it up?" Zhang Qingxiao looked at the disciple and asked. "Yes, sect master knows." There are no traces left, but please enter the mountain to take a look. Okay, you all go to the medicine farmer peak. Zhang Qingxiao waved her hand and ordered. Yes, once the disciple received the order, he turned around and flew away without hesitation. Let's go. Zhang Qingxiao landed in front of the fog with Jiang Luer in her arms and said with a smile, I haven't been back to Yellow Flower Ridge for many years. Now I'm going back with junior sister and junior brother. Please lead the way. Okay. Xiao Xinrui's eyes reddened. She thought of the scene when she, Gong Mingwei, and Zhang Qingxiao returned from the trade fair in Jinghua City. However, when she slapped her storage bag, her heart ached. She looked up and said, Second senior brother, I don't have any cultivation. I'm afraid I can't lead the way. You should do it, second senior brother. Hee, junior sister, don't panic. I have already sent people to Xuanyin School. It is said that Xuanyin School has the legendary heaven-mending pill. This pill should be able to repair your dantian. Zhang Qingxiao smiled and comforted Xiao Xinrui. TCH, Xiao Hua said disdainfully, second senior brother, you're only thinking of going to Xuanyin School to look for some heaven-mend pill now? Don't you have any divine abilities or methods? Doesn't the heavenly demon sect claim to have everything? Damn you, Zhang Qingxiao said angrily. You came first. I was one step later than you. Why didn't you protect your junior sister? Even if I didn't scold you, you would still be so smug. What kind of thing is that heavenly mending pill? How could I possibly carry it around with me? Haha. Xiao Hua patted his storage pouch and took out a jade bottle. He handed it to Xiao Xinrui and said, Senior sister, look at you. Little brother, already told you that cultivation is nothing. Little brother has a heaven-mending pill here. Senior sister, in a moment, find a time to take it. In a few days, your dantian will be restored. You really have a heaven-mending pill? Not to mention Xiao Xinrui, even Zhang Qingxiao was stunned. However, Zhang Qingxiao immediately came to his senses. He pointed at Xiao Hua and said, Of course. I forgot that you know how to concoct pills. Back then, when Master taught me how to concoct pills, I noticed that you were abnormal. When Xiao Yueheng was mentioned, Zhang Qingxiao was a little sad. Yes, I do know how to concoct pills. This heaven-mending pill was also concocted by me. Xiao Hua didn't hide it and answered frankly. Zhang Qingxiao reached out and took the jade bottle from Xiao Hua. He opened it and looked. His face showed surprise, even a kind of shock. He glanced at Xiao Hua, seemingly in disbelief. Xiao Hua naturally knew Zhang Qingxiao's doubts. He waved his hand and said, Second senior brother, don't ask. I lost my memory. You asked too much. I don't know myself. Yes, I understand. Zhang Qingxiao nodded slightly and handed the jade bottle to Xiao Xinrui. He said, Junior sister, this pill is definitely a heaven-mending pill. Moreover, it is one of a kind in the Dawn Rain continent. It was concocted using ancient alchemy techniques. You only need to consume it, and you will recover your cultivation in less than 3 days. Moreover, your meridians and dantian will definitely be tougher than before. Your cultivation will increase in a matter of days. Thank you, junior brother. Xiao Xinrui was overjoyed. She took the jade bottle and said with a smile. Xiao Hua waved his hand. Senior sister, don't thank me. If I had come a few days earlier, perhaps there wouldn't be so many things. Humph, of course. Zhang Qingxiao also scolded. Your cultivation was long enough to protect junior sister. Why didn't you come earlier? Alas, didn't I want to exterminate the 100 Herbs sect? My previous cultivation wasn't enough to eliminate Jiang Jiantong and the others, so I delayed until today. Xiao Hua said with a bitter smile. When I met you 3 years ago, you could already kill Jiang Jianong. Zhang Qingxiao scolded. You only know how to show off in front of me. You didn't dare to come and exterminate the 100 Herbs sect. You're too cautious. Don't talk about me. Xiao Hua retorted. You're in charge of the entire Heavenly Demon sect. Although I don't know what the Heavenly Demon sect is like now, it should be easy to exterminate the 100 Herbs sect, right? Zhang Qingxiao was so angry that the veins on his head bulged, but he had nothing to say. His feelings for Xiao Xinrui were different from Xiao Hua's feelings for her. How could he easily disturb her happiness? Haha, since you're here now, it's not too late. Let's not talk about each other anymore. Xiao Xinrui advised. You two are still the same as before, quarreling whenever you meet. However, I'm afraid Qingxiao can't casually bully Xiaohua now. Haha, he wants to. Xiaohua bared his teeth. Only I care about it. Zhang Qingxiao rolled his eyes. Then, Zhang Qingxiao asked again, by the way, do you still have the heavenly pill? Give me a few. Look, senior sister. You just said you won't bully me, but now you want to do the evil things of the past again. Xiaohua looked innocent, as if he was complaining to Xiao Xinrui, but his hands were not slow. He patted his storage bag and took out 4 more pills. If you don't give them to me, who else can you give them to? Zhang Qingxiao took them happily. It's better to give them to a family member than to others. You. Seeing that Zhang Qingxiao was even more greedy than Qindiheng, Xiaohua was really speechless. Second senior brother. Xiao Xinrui said with a smile. Second senior brother, please open the restriction on my shanghuoming. I also want to go home early. Okay. Hearing the words, I also want to go home early, Zhang Qingxiao's tears almost fell. This sentence awakened his memories that were difficult to erase. Zhang Qingxiao patted her storage bag, took out a jade tablet, and gently tapped it. A faint brilliance flashed, and a wave of magic power from the jade tablet shot into the fog. The fog seemed to be pushed aside by someone, and a passage flashed. Let's go, junior sister, junior brother. Zhang Qingxiao called out, and slowly flew in first. Her speed was no different from the 8th level of qi refinement. Xiaohua also slowly flew into the fog with Xiao Xinrui. When Xiaohua saw the welcome pavilion that had been repaired and looked even more luxurious, Xiaohua's heart also ached. People often said that people were different. Wasn't that true? Moreover, people were people of today, not people of the past. People were also not things of the past. But fortunately, everything on Yellow Flower Ridge showed the original state of shanghuoming, and Xiaohua could still think of the laughter from decades ago. The 3 of them were not in a hurry to fly to Minushi Peak. Instead, they flew as they walked. When they saw some familiar places, they stopped and looked again, unable to bear to leave. Although Xiao Xinrui had lived here for decades, she had never been like this before. She had never found her past memories in a place that she was familiar with. The entire Yellow Flower Ridge was quiet, and it was still the same as the small sect of 3.5 disciples from before. There were not many people. The dead were no longer here, the fugitives had returned, and the new people did not understand. It was as if the reincarnation of this world had come again. The sound of the pine trees, the night wind, and the 3 of them each had their own sincere feelings. Although they knew that the past was gone, they still cherished the memory. The journey that could be finished quickly took the 3 of them more than an hour. Not bad. Seeing that Mingli Peak was in sight, Xiaohua couldn't help but praise, second senior brother, your subordinates have really benefited greatly. They've killed so many people, yet there's actually not a trace of blood left behind. This little brother actually looks the same as he did several decades ago. SK, you can't even do such a small thing. How can you be my subordinate? Zhang Qingxiao said proudly, but, listening to your words, it seems a little ironic. No, I don't mean anything else this time. If you let the dirty blood of those people stain the rocks of my Yellow Flower Ridge, I will be the first to not spare you. Xiaohua said with a smile. Let's go. Xiao Xinrui also nodded and said, there is no big change here, but Minushi Peak and other places have been changed by the 100 Herb sect. It is very different from before. Junior sister, don't worry. Zhang Qingxiao said, give me a few days. I will definitely restore it to its former appearance. Forget it, no need. Xiao Xinrui said sadly, it is already like this. What's the point of changing it again? Junior sister, don't be sad. Zhang Qingxiao waved his hand and said, Shang Huoming will start a sect from today. Senior sister will be the head, and Zhang Luer will be the young head. I will arrange for people to help Shang Huoming recruit disciples. Second senior brother, you don't want to take charge of Shang Huoming again, do you? Xiao Hua suddenly asked. Hehe, don't worry. I already have the Heavenly Demon sect. Why would I want Shang Huoming? This Shang Huaming belongs to our master, junior sister, and Zhang Luer. I will never interfere in any of Shang Huaming's matters. Zhang Qingxiao, of course, knew what Xiaohua meant and hurriedly explained. -8. Chapter 22-21. Then, Xiaohua and the others came to the guest hall. The huge guest hall had a completely new look. It was different from before, but now it was as cold as before. Entering the guest hall, Xiaohua carefully helped Xiao Xinrui to the main seat. Xiao Xinrui glanced at Xiaohua and Zhang Qingxiao and did not refuse. She was injured twice in a row. Although she had taken the Wuxian pill refined by Xiaohua, because she did not have true essence, it was impossible for her to recover in a short time. She could only lean on the chair. Wah! Zhang Luer suddenly cried. Obviously, after waking up and seeing that the person holding her was not her mother, she started to make a fuss. Zhang Qingxiao hurriedly got up and quickly handed Zhang Luer to Xiao Xinrui. Once the child was in Xiao Xinrui's arms, she was peaceful. Her pair of energetic little eyes looked around and often fell on Xiaohua and Zhang Qingxiao. I'll have to trouble you to rebuild Shang Huaming, second senior brother. Xiaohua knew that his time was limited, and it was impossible for him to command so many disciples like Zhang Qingxiao. Yes, I'll do it. You don't have to worry. Zhang Qingxiao smiled and said, this has been my wish for many years. I believe that Shang Huaming will definitely not be a nameless small sect in the future. Good. Xiaohua nodded and asked again, however, since you and I have recognized each other, I have to ask. You already knew my identity, so why did you repeatedly try to kill me? Damn it. Do you still need to say it? Zhang Qingxiao said coldly. What are you like in Shang Huaming? What are you like outside of Shang Huaming? Look at your current cultivation. You can easily kill Jiang Jiantong. If I didn't suspect you, if I didn't put you on the list of suspects to kill Shang Huaming, would I still be in charge of the Heavenly Demon Sect? In fact, if you didn't take the initiative to come to Yellow Flower Ridge to take revenge today, I would still suspect you. Besides, didn't I let you go the first time? If I didn't show mercy, do you think you could escape the first time? Yin Ming is now the deputy sect leader of the Heavenly Demon Sect. This guy is definitely a devil cultivator. Oh, right, what did you take from him? It seems to be a Grand Universe teleportation token. This. Xiaohua patted his storage bag and took out the universal teleportation token. Yes, this is it. Zhang Qingxiao nodded and did not take it. She said, this item is very important. It should be related to the devil cultivators of the Cultivation Empire. They were playing a big game of chess, and this thing was the key. Keep this item well. I can't let that bastard get it for the time being. That guy still looks down on me, thinking that I'm just a country bumpkin. He wants to play with me? I want to see who will have the last laugh. And Xiaohua nodded and kept the Grand Universe teleportation token into his spatial ring. There was probably no place safer than his spatial ring on the Dawn Rain continent. Then, Xiaohua asked, second martial brother, since you can doubt this little brother, then this little brother also wants to ask you, didn't you die at Yellow Flower Ridge that day? How did he come back to life? Zhang Qingxiao thought for a moment and smiled. The reason is very simple. I wasn't killed by that nascent soul cultivator that day. Nascent soul? Xiaohua was stunned. How could he be a nascent soul cultivator? Why did he come to my Yellow Flower Ridge? It wasn't just one. Zhang Qingxiao said coldly. It was 3. It's just that I didn't see clearly which 3 nascent soul cultivators they were. As for why they came to my Yellow Flower Ridge, I still don't know. Oh, Xiaohua suddenly thought of Little White and those 3 drops of white dragon blood. However, Zhang Qingxiao said again, that nascent soul cultivator's cultivation was really too high. When I came back from Medicine Farmer Peak with eldest martial brother, before I could see clearly, I fainted from the pain in my chest. When I woke up, it was another opportunity. However, this matter is a bit strange, so I can't tell you. Tisk. Xiaohua sneered. Then are you still Zhang Qingxiao? Tisk, you're the one who's tisk. Zhang Qingxiao said angrily. If you have the ability, then tell me your Buddhist cultivation. What's going on? This, Xiaohua said embarrassedly. Just pretend that I didn't say anything. Xiao Xinrui laughed. You're all my family. Even if you leave me aside, you're still fellow disciples. There's no need to talk about kinship. Even if there's some secret, as long as it doesn't affect others, there's no need to tell others. All right. Zhang Qingxiao nodded. There's no need to say more. I accidentally took control of a rogue cultivator organization called Heaven Forsaken and changed it to Heavenly Demon Sect. Your Heavenly Demon Sect is really powerful. Xiao Hua sneered. What yin-yang dual cultivation? What Tao of Acacia? What's wrong with that? Zhang Qingxiao retorted. Heavenly Demon Sect, Heavenly Demon Sect, it means that Heavenly Demon is demon. This Tao of Acacia is nothing. Second Martial Brother, your appearance. How did it become like this? Xiao Xinrui hurriedly changed the topic and asked another question. Oh, I got a mother-child spirit fruit at the auction in Yinyuan City. Zhang Qingxiao didn't hide it from Xiao Xinrui and said with a smile. Ah? That mysterious cultivator with the complete qi refinement technique is you? Xiao Hua said in surprise. Yeah? Could it be that you were also at the auction? Zhang Qingxiao was stunned and said with a smile, You can't be the one who got that technique, right? Looking at Zhang Qingxiao's smiling face, Xiao Hua understood. No wonder there was something similar to the blood shadow technique in that technique. It turned out that it was this guy's doing. Damn it. If it wasn't me, who else could it be? Xiao Hua said angrily. I was almost killed by your technique. Io, it's really you. Hearing this, Zhang Qingxiao hurriedly stood up and said, Quick, let me take a look. You didn't really fall for it, did you? No need. Xiao Hua waved his hand and said, I've already seen through that technique of yours. That's good, that's good. Zhang Qingxiao said embarrassedly, I only wanted to deceive others, but I didn't expect to deceive my own people. And that technique is not bad. Do you have more? Xiao Hua's face was full of indignation. Quickly take it out and comfort my wounded heart. Of course, of course. Zhang Qingxiao hurriedly clapped his hands and took out a jade pendant. He was about to hand it over to Xiao Hua, but just as he handed it out halfway, he came to a realization. Damn it, you didn't seem to be hurt. Why would I give you this ancient cultivation technique? This heavenly law embodiment technique is an extremely powerful technique. I can't give it to you for free. Saying this, Zhang Qingxiao looked at Xiao Hua's storage bag with a smile. Damn, when you see wealth, you throw away your brotherhood. Xiao Hua covered his storage bag and said, I've already given you the heaven-mending pill. What else do you want? -8. Chapter 22:22. Hee, of course, it's the mother-child spirit fruit. Zhang Qingxiao said, This thing is quite beneficial to me and my confidant. Take out as many as you have, the more the better. Okay. Xiao Hua reached out his hand and said, Give me a storage pouch. Ah? Zhang Qingxiao was stunned, then immediately became overjoyed and hurriedly gave a small storage pouch to Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua pretended to take something from the storage pouch and took out more than half of the mother-child spirit fruits that he had accumulated in the past few decades. So many. Seeing so many mother-child spirit fruits in the storage pouch, Zhang Qingxiao's eyes already turned green. All right, no need to say anymore. Your father will be the vice sect master. Zhang Qingxiao handed the jade pendant to Xiao Hua and said, With you as the vice sect master, I can nurture countless experts. SK. Xiao Hua waved his hand. I'm too lazy to go to that filthy place of yours. Besides, from your tone, the vice sect master position of Heavenly Demon Sect is just for sale. Anyone can go, but I'm even more unwilling to go. Come if you want. Zhang Qingxiao happily put away the mother-child spirit fruits and rolled his eyes at Xiao Hua. I don't know how many cultivators in Xiaoyu continent want to come. I don't care. Xiao Hua flatly refused. Hee, you don't have to be the vice sect master. However, when I ask you for the mother-child spirit fruits, you still have to take them out. Zhang Qingxiao said without any trace of politeness. Depends on the situation. Xiao Hua shook his head. There aren't many mother-child spirit fruits left in that place. Don't talk to me about this. Zhang Qingxiao said with a smile. If you can get so many, you can definitely get even more. Deal. Xiao Hua also nodded, however. You have to help me do something. Hee, you're starting to bargain with senior brother. Zhang Qingxiao nodded. Say it. There aren't many things that I can't do on Xiaoyu continent. When Xiao Hua took out a pile of rice seeds and handed it to Zhang Qingxiao, he explained the matter. Zhang Qingxiao was dumbfounded and asked incredulously, What? What? You actually want my heavenly demon sect disciple to do such a good thing? Are you sure? Of course I'm not mistaken. Xiao Hua nodded and said, Now that the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in our Xiaoyu continent has changed greatly, the cultivator's cultivation is merely restricted, but the common people's lives are in danger. My ability is limited, so I have no choice but to rely on second senior Martial Brothers' heavenly demon sect to do this. Great. Xiao Xinrui also nodded and advised, Second senior brother, this is the best thing in the world. If you can participate, it will also be a good deed. I don't care about merit. I only want to avenge eldest senior brother and master. Zhang Qingxiao took the storage bags and said coldly, I was wondering why some people in the secular world of Ming Kingdom worship Jinren Shao. It turns out that it was you who did it. Don't worry, even if my heavenly demon sect does this, we will not use the name of the heavenly demon sect. We will still use your name. Motherfucker, wouldn't my heavenly demon sect become a laughing stock if other people knew about this? Xiao Hua's heart warmed, knowing that his second senior Martial brother still had some kindness. He cupped his hands and said, I thank second senior Martial brother on behalf of the common people of the world. What qualifications do you have to represent the common people of the world? Zhang Qingxiao scolded. What's the use of doing this kind of good deed every day? You might as well spend your time on cultivation and searching for the murderer who killed my Shang Huaming. Speaking of which, Xiao Hua laughed again and said, I really do have some clues. Tell me quickly, Zhang Qingxiao said anxiously. Thus, Xiao Hua briefly told her about the little white dragon and what he saw at the auction in Haoming City. Then, he concluded, didn't Jiang Jianong say it before? My Shang Huaming's guardian divine beast is probably the little white dragon. The three nascent soul cultivators just happened to face the Shang Hua sect, Xuanyin school, and Qiqiao sect. Their sect leaders are all nascent soul cultivators. Even if it wasn't them, I'm afraid they are related to the murderer. However, I don't know if the blood of the Shang Hua sect's Qi Jianghai is the blood of the white dragon. And I understand. Zhang Qingxiao nodded slowly. Things are gradually becoming clear, but it's not the time for the truth to come to light. Our cultivation is still too weak. When we reach the nascent soul realm, we will definitely find the murderer and kill him. Right, junior sister. Speaking of which, I was a bit reckless just now. We can't use the name Shang Huaming for the time being to avoid attracting the murderer's attention. Let's use the name of the 100 Herbs sect for the time being. Okay, I'll listen to second senior brother's instructions. Xiao Xinrui nodded. Nascent soul? Alas, it seems too long ago. Xiao Hua thought of the battle between the Dao sect and the sword cultivators and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Although he improved rapidly, there was still a long way to go before he could kill a nascent soul cultivator. How about a nascent soul? Zhang Qingxiao said coldly, as long as you cultivate diligently, I will provide you with everything you want, whether it's pills, cultivation methods, or spiritual herbs. I haven't seen you for decades, and you can cultivate to the golden core realm. With my support, how slow can you be? Not to mention the nascent soul realm, you can even reach the spirit severing stage. What can you give me? Xiao Hua smiled. You even want me to give you the mother-child spirit fruit. Haha, what do you want? Zhang Qingxiao asked instead of answering. This? Xiao Hua scratched his head. He really didn't want anything for the time being, but at this moment, his eyes lit up and he said with a smile, Second senior brother, do you have the Demon Realm's refining method? The Demon Realm's refining method? Zhang Qingxiao was also stunned. What do you want that for? Of course it's for this. Xiao Hua clapped his hand and took out the Qiuyin Lu. He looked at Zhang Qingxiao with a smile. Zhang Qingxiao's gaze swept over it. How could she still sit still? With a big stride, she jumped from the chair on the left to the chair on the right where Xiao Hua was sitting and snatched the Qiuyin Lu for a closer look. Second senior brother, is there a need to do this? Xiao Hua said with a smile. This is my treasure. I never promised to give it to you. Good. It really is the Qiuyin. Little junior brother. Where did you get it? Zhang Qingxiao looked again and asked, do you know the value of this thing? I heard Empress say that this is the weapon of Demon Monarch Scarlet Maple. What else is strange about it? Xiao Hua was slightly stunned. It's not just that. Zhang Qingxiao looked as if she couldn't bear to part with it. This is a famous weapon from ancient times. Later, it flowed into the demon realm and was obtained by Demon Monarch Scarlet Maple. I won't say the specific process. In short, this thing is very important to me. You have to give it to me even if you don't want to. But then Zhang Qingxiao said curiously, however, this thing seemed to have been shattered in the war between immortals and demons. It was broken into several pieces. How did it become a hole in your hands? Oh, no, it's not completely refined. It's just connected together with a rare blood fusion method. I understand. Zhang Qingxiao looked at Xiao Hua in surprise. Don't tell me that you refined this thing. It's me. Xiao Hua nodded. However, I don't have the demon realm's refining method, so I can't do it fully. If second senior brother has it, I can help you refine it. It's nothing much. Little junior brother. You're really good. Zhang Qingxiao sighed with emotion. I thought I was incomparably powerful, but I didn't expect, compared to you. I'm really too far behind. No, the position of Heavenly Demon Sect's Vice Sect Master must be given to you. Go. Do you still want the ancient dragon Yinlu? Xiao Hua threatened. Yes. Zhang Qingxiao answered without hesitation. Then, she searched her storage bag for a long time and took out 2 magic slips. One of them is the Demon Realm's refining method. The other is the ancient dragon Yinlu's refining method. Can you read the magic slips? Yes. Xiao Hua reached out to take it and kept the ancient dragon Yinlu. You have the cultivation of a Buddhist sect. Naturally, you can read the magic slips. Zhang Qingxiao didn't find it strange. All right. Also, where do you have the refining method of the 5 elements Wishful Heaven Cudgel? Or a Qi refinement technique that doesn't belong to the 5 elements? Or something with green seal script? Xiao Hua asked one after another. No. Zhang Qingxiao's mind was hazy. She asked curiously, what are these things? I've never heard of them. I understand. Xiao Hua waved his hand. He understood that although Zhang Qingxiao obtained the inheritance of a devil cultivator, she only knew about things from the demon realm. She probably didn't know much about green seal script or ancient things. After thinking for a while, Xiao Hua took out a white bone and said, it's this big white bone. If you see it, leave it for me. This thing. Good. I understand. Zhang Qingxiao nodded. Then, after thinking for a while, she took out a drop of blood and handed it to Xiao Hua. This is a high-level cultivation method from the demon realm. It's called Blood Drop Paradise. You can refer to it. It should be useful for you to refine the ancient dragon Yinlu. Another cultivation method. Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. He nodded and took it. I have too many cultivation methods here. You're really taking advantage of me. Zhang Qingxiao scolded. This is the cultivation method of Qi Feng Supreme. Who knows how many devil cultivators in the demon realm covet it? All right, Xiao Hua said helplessly. It won't be too late to thank you when I succeed in this cultivation method. TSK, how can you succeed in cultivating it? You're not from the demon realm. Zhang Qingxiao snorted disdainfully. You just need to experience it and refine the ancient dragon Yinlu properly. Your brother's life is in your hands. Why is that? Xiao Hua was shocked. He didn't expect the ancient dragon Yinlu to be so important to Zhang Qingxiao. You don't need to know this. You just need to refine it properly. Zhang Qingxiao laughed again. I'm just lying to you. Seeing that Zhang Qingxiao didn't say anything, Xiao Hua didn't ask anymore. However, he understood that Zhang Qingxiao wouldn't say anything senseless. Following that, the two of them talked for a while. Xiao Hua was coaxed by Zhang Qingxiao to give him a lot of spirit herbs. However, although Xiao Hua didn't care about Zhang Qingxiao's position as the vice sect leader, he still wanted the Azure Spirit Pills pill formula. As for the Essence Flower pill that condensed true essence, Xiaohua didn't expect that Zhang Qingxiao didn't have it. However, Xiao Xinrui did. The Essence Flower Pills pill formula was the secret inheritance of the 100 Herbs Gate. Chang Fian from Weeping Moon City was right. That day, Chang Fian did mention the 100 Herbs Gate. However, Xiaohua only focused on the 10,000 Flower Valley and directly ignored the 100 Herbs Gate. -8. Chapter 22-23. Of course, this secret technique was placed in Shang Huoming's secret chamber. The three of them headed to Shang Huoming's ancestral hall. Seeing Zhang Qingxiao take out an old yellow talisman and paste it on the ground, and seeing a flash of light, Xiaohua couldn't help but think of the first time he came here with Gong Mingwei. Xiaohua's figure disappeared along with the clear light, and tears once again welled up in his eyes. The originally hidden memories were always stirred up by the old matters and things that always existed, and the originally gradually ice-cold emotions were once again stirred up. Humans, even cultivators, were generally like this. Unfortunately, when Xiaohua saw the inheritance hall that had been tidied up by the 100 Herbs Gate, he was faintly disappointed. Yes, it was originally cold and cheerless, but that was his own, Shang Huoming's. Now, the prosperity belonged to the 100 Herbs Gate, and it had nothing to do with Shang Huoming. Haha, not bad. Zhang Qingxiao didn't think so, and with a sweep of his divine sense, he laughed. The 100 Herbs Gate is really generous, leaving a lot of things in my yellow flower ridge. Could it be that they moved everything here? More or less. Xiao Xinrui put down Zhang Luer, who was about to move, and brushed her hair. Her body was quite charming, and she laughed. My Shang Huoming's restriction is very strange, much more powerful than the 100 Herbs Gates. When Jiang Jinhong repaired the array, he put all of the 100 Herbs Gates inheritance here. Without Shang Huoming's yellow talisman, I'm afraid only nascent soul cultivators can break in, right? Yes, that's right. That's why it's so convenient for us. Zhang Qingxiao looked at Xiaohua and said, "How about it, little junior brother? I won't let you do it for nothing. Take a look. If there's anything you want, just take it." TSK, Xiaohua snorted. I'm also Shang Huoming's disciple, and these things are also mine. Why should I owe you a favor? Hee. Xiao Xinrui quite enjoyed listening to the two bicker, and she covered her mouth with a smile. She pointed to a place and said, "Little junior brother, go over there. These are the 100 Herbs Gates pill recipes and refining methods. If you need them, you can take them. Don't let him take them, just copy them. These are all for Jiang Luer." Zhang Qingxiao immediately raised an objection. Xiaohua glared at him. Am I that stupid? As he spoke, he was about to leave when he suddenly thought of something and asked Xiao Xinrui, "Senior sister, are all the herbs of the 100 Herbs Gate planted in Yellow Flower Ridge?" Xiao Xinrui shook her head. No, Yellow Flower Ridge doesn't have abundant spirit qi, so it's not suitable for planting spirit herbs. Most of the spiritual herbs of 100 Herbs Gate are in Medicine Farmer Peak. Only some of the most important ones have been transplanted here. Oh. Xiaohua nodded, then turned to Zhang Qingxiao and said, "Second senior brother, have your subordinates give me 10 stalks of each of the 100 Herbs Gate's medicinal herbs, as well as 10 of their seeds. How can I allow my subordinates to be ordered around by you?" Zhang Qingxiao said, but he did not stop. He walked out of the Heritage Hall and sent out the transmission talisman. What does little junior brother want the seeds for? Xiao Xinrui asked curiously. She then pointed to a spot and said, "Many of the seeds of the 100 Herbs Gate are also placed here. Take a look for yourself." Haha, great. Xiaohua clapped his hands and laughed. Little junior brother naturally has his uses. Then, Xiaohua copied the pill formulas of the 100 Herbs Gate. Unfortunately, the 100 Herbs Gate could only refine the green spirit pill of the late Foundation establishment stage at most. They did not have a single pill formula for the golden core stage. The other pill formulas for the Foundation establishment and Qi refinement stages could also be counted on one hand. As for the seeds, there were quite a lot. Most of them had already been planted in Xiaohua's space. However, Xiaohua still took some of each. Zhang Qingxiao looked at Xiaohua's actions and seemed to be deep in thought. However, Xiaohua did not care at all. His space was really hidden. Even a nascent soul stage cultivator would not be able to discover it. Zhang Qingxiao could not possibly know the details. Moreover, with his space, Zhang Qingxiao could also benefit from it. With Zhang Qingxiao's intelligence, he would definitely not drain the pond to fish and burn the forest to hunt, blindly occupying it by force. Sure enough, after Xiao Hua searched through everything in the Heritage Hall, took what he needed to take and copied what he needed to copy, Zhang Qingxiao asked in a low voice, "Little junior brother, were you responsible for planting spirit herbs in the Imperial Thunder Sect?" "That's right." Xiao Hua nodded. "Then, did you find a secret place in the Imperial Thunder Sect when you were planting spirit herbs?" Zhang Qingxiao's eyes lit up as he asked anxiously. More or less." Xiao Hua did not deny it. "Haha, I knew it." Zhang Qingxiao laughed loudly. "If you didn't find any secret place in the Imperial Thunder Sect, where did you get the mother-child spirit fruit? What do you want these spirit herb seedlings and seeds for?" Zhang Qingxiao did not expect that when Xiao Hua took out the mother-child spirit fruit at the auction in Yinyuan City, he had not yet entered the Imperial Thunder Sect. Seeing Xiao Hua somewhat stunned, Zhang Qingxiao laughed arrogantly and said, "I found a secret place in the Weiming mountain range where I planted the mother-child spirit fruit. However, that mother-child spirit fruit is only a few hundred years old. You can take out 1,000-year-old one all of a sudden. If it is not the Imperial Thunder Sect's secret place, where else can it be?" "Oh?" Xiao Hua was greatly surprised and muttered in his heart, Good, good. So that place is second senior brother's." However, he also could not explain, otherwise, his mother-child spirit fruit would have no source. Thus, Xiao Hua pretended not to understand and said, "What's wrong? What does my Imperial Thunder Sect's secret place have to do with you? Your huge heavenly demon sect can't even have spirit herbs, right? You actually want to get them from little brother's hands?" "AI, although my heavenly demon sect is big, so big that you can't imagine. However, after all, the sect has only been established for a short time and does not have much accumulation. Cultivation methods, medicinal pills, and artifacts are still okay. Previously, Tianqi already has it. I can just go to other sects and families and snatch it. However, spirit herbs are quite troublesome, especially now that the spirit chi of heaven and earth is gradually changing. The spirit herbs planted are also not growing in a special way. If little junior brother has the Imperial Thunder Sect's secret place, wouldn't it be just right? Haha, I'm afraid only second senior brother would do something like stuffing your own pockets." Xiao Hua sneered. As long as I can get spirit herbs, I can do anything." Zhang Qingxiao did not care about Xiao Hua's sneer. Xiao Hua thought for a moment and nodded. "Little brother can help you. However, you have to take out the same number of seedlings, otherwise, it will be easy to be exposed." "Of course, I know this." Zhang Qingxiao nodded. "However, what little brother wants is precisely the spirit herb seedlings in your Imperial Thunder Sect's secret place." Why is that?" Xiao Hua asked curiously. "You want to plant the seedlings yourself?" "Of course." Zhang Qingxiao nodded. "Actually, when little junior brother gave little brother the rice, little brother had already thought about it. After little brother parted with you last time in Ming Country, little brother occasionally met a secular person who was worshipping Taoist Xiao. Because his surname was similar to yours, little brother was curious and asked someone to inquire about it. Only then did I know that your rice seedlings can actually grow in the spirit chi of heaven and earth. At that time, little brother thought that if I met this Taoist Xiao, I would definitely give him the position of deputy sect leader of the heavenly demon sect and let him help me cultivate spirit herbs." -8. Chapter 22-24. Haha, how many vice sect leaders do you have? Xiao Hua laughed. Xiao Xinrui also couldn't help laughing. "You can have as many as you want," Zhang Qingxiao said with a flick of his sleeve. "I don't care. To be honest, there's no need to talk about your rice. It's definitely grown in that secret area. The spiritual herbs there must have adapted to the changes in the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. If you can take it outside and plant it, I'm sure it'll be the same as the rice and save all the spiritual herbs in the entire Dawn Rain continent." Of course. Hearing this, Xiao Hua suddenly realized that it was just as Zhang Qingxiao said. Since the rice could adapt to the changes in heaven and earth spiritual qi, how could the spiritual herbs higher than the rice not adapt? Xiao Hua was too concerned about the common people and forgot about the cultivators on Xiaoyu continent. Little junior brother, if you plant spiritual herbs in the secret land of Imperial Thunder Sect, you must keep this cheap position, Zhang Qingxiao reminded him. Now that the heaven and earth spiritual qi has changed, all the sects are on guard. If your Imperial Thunder Sect has this secret land, Shanghua Sect and Shuanyan School must have the same place. This is the foundation of all the sects on Xiaoyu continent. Then Zhang Qingxiao looked at Xiao Xinrui and said, if you don't believe me, then take out the spiritual herbs in the secret land and give them to junior sister. 100 Herbs Sect grows spiritual herbs, so there won't be any mistakes. Yes, I understand. Xiao Hua nodded. What's the difference between giving them to senior sister and giving them to you? 100 Herbs Sect will be. No, it's absolutely different. Zhang Qingxiao flatly denied. I said that I can help 100 Herbs Sect recruit disciples in the early stage, but I must give them to junior sister in the future. And 100 Herbs Sect will definitely change its name to Shanghuaming's. Okay, Xiaohua nodded and reached out. Give me the storage bag. I really do have some spiritual herb sprouts. I took them out of the secret land and was waiting to give them to Thunder Palace. Now it's time to exchange them. Don't. Zhang Qingxiao waved her hand and said, don't do it now. The two kinds of spiritual herbs will definitely have differences. If someone finds out, it will be bad. Xiaohua naturally knew that this so-called secret plane was nothing more than a myth. Whether or not the Imperial Thunder Sect, Splendid Sect, and the other sects really had it, he also didn't know. If the spiritual plants of the 100 Herbs Sect couldn't be replaced, it wouldn't be long before they would wither. How could his poor senior martial sister support it? Moreover, once he went a Hun country, he didn't know when he would return. If he didn't give it to him now, when would he? Second senior brother, don't worry. We just need to hand over the spiritual herbs to them. No one will check. Xiao Hua said with a smile. Really? Zhang Qingxiao was a little puzzled, but he nodded again. Since you said so, I won't be polite. As he spoke, he took out a storage pouch. Xiao Hua took out a lot of spirit grass seedlings from his storage bag. He also took out 10 of them. As for the older ones, he also took out a few of them after giving the storage pouch to Zhang Qingxiao. Zhang Qingxiao unceremoniously handed him a blood-red messaging talisman and a jade slip. He said with a smile, Junior martial brother is so convenient. You can take a look at the things inside. After you have them, you can use the messaging talisman to send them to me. I will personally go and get them. Alas, I knew there wouldn't be any easy work. Xiao Hua took it with a smile. He didn't even look at it before putting it into the storage pouch. It was impossible for him to give the spiritual herbs to Zhang Qingxiao now. Seeing Xiao Hua accept it without any trace of politeness, Zhang Qingxiao's mouth revealed a trace of a smile. His heart felt warm. After all, he was his junior martial brother. Although he couldn't be compared to Xiao Xinrui, who grew up together, he was still very affectionate. There's something that I still need to ask. Although Xiao Hua took the messaging talisman, after thinking for a while, he looked at Zhang Qingxiao with a smile and said, Your heavenly demon sect is really dirty. Previously, many disciples offended me. I won't hide it from second senior martial brother. I didn't leave a single one alive. Of course, I didn't know that they were second senior martial brother's subordinates at that time. I was a little ruthless, but now, with second senior martial brother here, it really makes things difficult for me. Don't. Zhang Qingxiao waved his hand and said with a smile, You are you, and I am me. You and I are Shang Huaming's senior martial brother. But the Imperial Thunder Sect is the Imperial Thunder Sect, and the Heavenly Demon Sect is the Heavenly Demon Sect. There are Taoists and demons. This isn't something that can be replaced by our brotherhood. As long as the disciples of my Heavenly Demon Sect offend you, you can attack as much as you want. I won't say a word. In addition, if the disciples of your Imperial Thunder Sect offend me, I won't let them go. Okay, Xiao Hua's stone fell to the ground, but after thinking for a while, he clapped his hand, took out a jade slip, wrote something, and handed it to Zhang Qingxiao. These are my good friends, and my current master and senior martial brother. They are really good to me. If you meet them, Please show some mercy. Got it. Zhang Qingxiao only cared about Xiao Hua and Xiao Xinrui and didn't care about others at all. Since Xiao Hua said so, he casually looked at it and put it away. Then he looked away from Xiao Hua and looked at the place where the statue of the deity used to be. He was a little disappointed. Alas, the most important statue in my inheritance hall has been taken by the 100 Herbs Gate. I watched it grow up since I was young, and now it's gone. My heart is really empty. Xiao Xinrui's face was full of guilt when she heard this. She said carefully, "It's all my fault. When I first gave them the yellow talisman, the statue was still there. After that, I rarely came here. By the time little sister came here, that thing was already gone. I'm afraid Jiang Jianhong sent it to the Medicine Farmer Peak. Second senior martial brother, you can go to the Medicine Farmer Peak and see if there are any traces of the statue." Okay. Zhang Qingxiao was about to turn around and send a message talisman when Xiao Hua said with a smile, "No need?" "Oh?" Xiao Xinrui asked curiously, "What does junior martial brother mean?" "Haha, the heavens really don't want to destroy me." Shang Huaming. Xiao Hua explained, "When I first escaped from Yellow Flower Ridge, I picked up the god statue on the way." With that, Xiao Hua waved his hand and took out the god statue from the space. He said as if he was presenting a treasure, "Second senior martial brother, senior martial sister, look." Seeing the god statue flash in Xiao Hua's hand, Xiao Xinrui and Zhang Qingxiao were happy. They knew that although they didn't know the origin of this thing, it was Shang Huaming's inheritance. Who knew what secrets it held? If Shang Huaming wanted to establish a sect, this thing must not be missing. However, before Xiao Hua could put the god statue on the ground, an unusual green light flew out of Xiao Hua's storage bag. It was the Jade Rui that the 10,000 Demon Realm Empress had given to Xiao Hua. The Jade Rui flew into the air and emitted a strange fluctuation from the handle. One by one, it shot onto the god statue. As the fluctuation reached the body, the god statue actually shook and made a buzzing sound. Then, a fluctuation flashed from the god statue, echoing the Jade Rui. This, Xiao Hua and the others were stunned. Buzz, 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 buzz. The rhythm of the sound was like a kind of music, but also like a kind of cry. It was quite like the cry of the sea beasts Xiao Hua heard on the Guihe Sea. After a short while, the Jade Rui emitted a green brilliance that enveloped the entire statue. The statue began to turn illusory, turning into particles, which then rushed into the Jade Rui at an extremely fast speed. Xiao Hua seemed to have realized something when he saw the granular form. A faint lightning bolt flashed through his mind. What is this? Zhang Qingxiao was shocked and hurriedly reached out to grab it. However, when his hand touched the god statue, it was as if he was grabbing a handful of emptiness. The countless particles flowed out from the gaps of his hand and entered the Jade Rui. "Xiao Hua, what's going on?" Seeing that Xiao Hua was still stunned at this critical moment, Zhang Qingxiao scolded, "Quickly take out the god statue." At this moment, the Jade Rui's brilliance flashed again. It actually soared into the sky and flew out of the inheritance palace. However, only flew a few feet before the brilliance stopped again. It circled a few times before flying back to Xiao Hua's head and stopped moving. Xiao Hua faintly grasped something, but it seemed like nothing. At this moment, he couldn't think about it in detail. He stretched out his hand and took down the Jade Rui. Xiao Hua and the others' divine sense swept over, but the Jade Rui blocked their divine sense and couldn't penetrate it. "AI, second senior brother, do you still remember the empress you met in the Guihe Sea?" Xiao Hua sighed and asked. Zhang Qingxiao's expression changed slightly. She nodded and said, "This thing is hers? What kind of empress is she?" "Sure." Xiao Hua signaled to not blaspheme and explained. According to her, she is the empress of the 10,000 Demon Realm. 10,000 Demon Realm. Zhang Qingxiao's face was even more shocked. How can a demon from the 10,000 Demon Realm come to our Dawn Rain continent? It's really strange. What? Shouldn't she appear in the Dawn Rain continent? Xiao Hua's expression changed even more. He was already certain that he was from the 10,000 Demon Realm. Now that he heard it, he couldn't help but be confused. Zhang Qingxiao told him about the spatial crack according to her memory and said, Under normal circumstances, demons from the 10,000 demon realm can't use their true bodies to come to our Dawn Rain continent. They can only use their primordial spirit projection. When I saw the Empress that day, it didn't seem to be a primordial spirit projection. Oh, Xiaohua nodded. The Empress had also said this before. Thus, he smiled and said, according to the Empress, she came through a strange spatial crack. She shouldn't be in this category. Then what about this Jade Rui? Zhang Qingxiao pointed at the Jade Rui in Xiaohua's hand and asked, this matter involves the Empress's private affairs. I received her grace and was ordered by her to find a person. Xiaohua couldn't understand and said, this Jade Rui was given to me by her. As long as there is a trace of that person, this thing will automatically appear. I will send a message to the Empress. And Zhang Qingxiao nodded. So, this god statue is related to the 10,000 demon realm? Or I, Shang Huoming, am also related to the 10,000 demon realm? Instantly, Xiaohua thought of the words Qing Fengmin said when he was devouring his flesh at the 100 Zhang Peak. Io, how do you have the demon realm's cultivation method? -8. Chapter 22-25. So, Xiaohua nodded. That should be the case. I think my cultivation method is related to the demon race. Zhang Qingxiao naturally knew, but he couldn't say it out loud. Hearing Xiaohua's words, he also nodded. If it's as little junior brother said, then I'm definitely related to the person the 10,000 demon realm empress is looking for. Dark flower, Shang Hua Ming. Xiaohua thought for a moment and smiled. If I'm not wrong, our Shang Hua Ming was created by the person the 10,000 demon realm empress is looking for. This god statue, damn, that's not right. The empress is looking for a man, but this god statue is clearly a woman. Zhang Qingxiao shrugged and smiled mysteriously. Little junior brother is wrong. A demon is a demon. In my Dawn Rain continent, it's just a bag of skin. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. Although it's a woman on the surface, it's actually a man. This, Xiaohua was silent. He couldn't believe that a man could turn into a delicate female cultivator. He shook his head. I don't think so. It's all up to the Empress. If she says it's true, then it's true. But your message talisman, it hasn't been sent out? Zhang Qingxiao reminded. He suffered in the hands of the Empress and was somewhat afraid of her. He couldn't help but feel lucky. Xiaohua looked at the Jade Rui in his hand and was also puzzled. He said helplessly, this isn't something I can control. Anyway, I already know that Shang Hua Ming is related to the person the Empress is looking for. It's not my problem if the message talisman can't be sent out. Could it be that the Empress encountered some danger? Was she killed? Or imprisoned? Zhang Qingxiao guessed. Xiaohua thought for a moment. The Empress's cultivation is higher than the spirit clone. There are too few cultivators in the Dawn Rain continent who can imprison her. Moreover, if she reveals her identity, with her identity as the 10,000 demon realm empress, which human cultivator would imprison her? Who knows? Zhang Qingxiao shrugged. I'm still confused. Why would a demonic cultivator find me to be the target of possession? Or perhaps the Empress has already returned to the 10,000 demon realm? Xiaohua whispered with a trace of disappointment in his heart. Is it possible? Zhang Qingxiao nodded. Or she has already found someone. He went back with her. What about this statue? Xiao Xinrui asked. It's all with little junior brother. Let him have it. The corner of Zhang Qingxiao's mouth revealed a trace of a smile as she said, if we were to climb the thighs of the myriad demon realm's empress, I'm afraid that we would be able to do whatever we wanted in the Daybreak continent. Senior apprentice sister, don't worry. This thing is in little brother's storage pouch. Others won't be able to take it away. Xiaohua consoled. In fact, Xiao Xinrui didn't have any special thoughts. She was just relieved to hear her senior and junior brothers comforting her. Actually, hearing her two relatives comforting her, Xiao Xinrui hesitated for a moment before saying, not only does my Shang Huoming have some background, even 100 Herbs Gate has some history. Oh? What's the history of 100 Herbs Gate? Zhang Qingxiao disdained. Can it be compared with my Shang Huoming? Xiao Xinrui smiled bitterly, looked at them and said, I heard from Lu Er's father that their medicine farmer peak and the medicine king tripod seem to be related to some legends, but he didn't say anything more about it. I don't know either. Oh, I see. If I had known earlier, I would have asked them first. Zhang Qingxiao scratched her head, thought for a moment, and asked, by the way, where are Jiang Jintong's storage pouch and the medicine king tripod? It doesn't seem like I took them. My subordinates. Of course they're with little brother. Xiao Hua smiled apologetically, but he didn't feel embarrassed at all. He clapped his hands and took out Jiang Jintong's medicine king tripod. I killed him. How did it go to you? Zhang Qingxiao curled her lips and said, you're the leader of the heavenly demon sect. How can you value these things? It's not as good as little brother taking them. Xiao Hua retorted. If I didn't mention it, you wouldn't have said it? Zhang Qingxiao didn't let it go. Of course. Why should I say it? Xiao Hua said confidently, this guy has taken up so much of my time. It's only right for him to compensate me. Fine, fine. You're so polite. Zhang Qingxiao said impatiently, what kind of background can the 100 Herbs sect have? I'm too lazy to look at it. Since little brother has taken it, then just take it for the time being. Xiao Xinrui pursed her lips and smiled. Now I, Shang Huoming, have a lot of things to do, so I can't take these things to heart. Little brother, just take it as keeping it for Lu Er. Okay. Xiao Hua didn't stand on ceremony. He waved his hand and put it back into the space. However, he was the same as Zhang Qingxiao. He didn't take it seriously at all. However, after a while, Zhang Qingxiao frowned again and looked at Xiao Hua, saying, Xiao Hua, show me the medicine king tripod. Yes. Xiao Hua was stunned. He obediently took out the medicine king tripod and handed it to Zhang Qingxiao. Zhang Qingxiao took the medicine king tripod, squinted her eyes, and looked at it for a long time. She scratched her chin with her hand and returned the medicine king tripod to Xiao Hua. She said thoughtfully, if little sister didn't mention the medicine king peak, I really would have forgotten about it. In my memory, there is indeed a legend of the medicine king peak, but it's not particularly detailed. Oh, is there really such a thing? Xiao Hua said happily, second senior brother, tell me quickly, you look like a miser. Zhang Qingxiao scolded. No wonder you can't be the deputy lord of my heavenly demon sect. Then she laughed and said, actually, I don't remember it very clearly. I only know that there is a story about the medicine king peak. In the ancient times, when the celestial being declined, there was a powerful person who called himself a medicine farmer and lived in the medicine king peak. He personally tasted tens of thousands of kinds of spiritual herbs that grew after the ancient times, thought about the medicinal properties of various spiritual herbs, and then formulated different prescriptions. These prescriptions are the embryonic form of the prescriptions that cultivators of the Xiaoyu continent take now. Oh my god. No way. Xiao Hua didn't expect this legend to be so long. What's the origin of this medicine king tripod? How would I know? Zhang Qingxiao rolled her eyes at him. I only know this legend and I don't know anything else. SK. Who wants to know? Xiao Hua also bared his teeth and said. Then Xiao Hua patted his storage bag again, took out a jade bottle and a bead, and handed them to Xiao Xinrui. I will break your magic tool. This is a water-based magic tool called the Aqua Blue Bead, which is used by Senior Sister. When I have a chance in the future, I will personally create a magic weapon for Senior Sister. SK. It's just a Aqua Blue Bead. My heavenly demon sect has plenty of such things. Zhang Qingxiao disdained. If you have the ability, you'd better get a water-based magic weapon first. -8. Chapter 22-26. With a smile on her face, Xiao Xinrui stretched out her hand and took it. She did not mind that it was a magic weapon. Zhang Luer seemed to like the color of the aqua blue pearl very much. She stretched out her small hand and snatched it, happily playing with it. In the other jade bottle, there is a face-preserving pill. Senior Sister, if you take it, you can stay young forever. Oh, face-preserving pill? Even if Xiao Xinrui already felt that she was not surprised by favor or disgrace, hearing this item, her heart jumped slightly. Her face showed surprise as she looked at Xiao Hua and said, Thank you, junior brother. You're welcome, you're welcome. Xiao Hua quickly waved his hand and reached into his clothes again. Then, "Junior brother, can you give me one of the face-preserving pill?" Zhang Qingxiao, who had always been a robber, was actually a bit embarrassed, and even his tone was evasive. "Okay." Xiao Hua's reaction was very natural. Just as he was about to take it out, he suddenly felt that Zhang Qingxiao was not appropriate. He raised his eyebrows and asked with a smile that was not a smile, "Second brother, you're already charming the world. Why do you still need this face-preserving pill?" "Damn it, are you going to give it or not?" Zhang Qingxiao said with a cold face. "Of course, it's for you." Xiao Hua took out a jade bottle and said with a smile, "However, you have to tell me, who should I give this to?" "Could it be?" Zhang Qingxiao's figure swayed, and an afterimage appeared in front of Xiao Hua. Unfortunately, Xiao Hua's hand did not move at all, but the jade bottle in his hand strangely disappeared. When the jade bottle disappeared, Zhang Qingxiao's hand also appeared in Xiao Hua's hand. "Damn it, what kind of magical power is this?" Grabbing empty air, Zhang Qingxiao was a little shocked. She looked at Xiao Hua's empty palm in disbelief. He did not sense any magical power fluctuations at all. "You don't need to know what magical power it is," Xiao Hua said with a smile. "If you don't tell me who this person is, I'm afraid that the face-preserving pill, cough cough." Xiao Xinrui saw that Zhang Qingxiao's face was a little embarrassed, and there was a ripple in her heart. She coughed twice and said, "Xiao Hua, don't make things difficult for your second brother. Quickly give it to him." "Yes, senior sister." Xiao Hua's palm slightly grabbed, and the jade bottle appeared again. But this time there were two. "Oh, you really have a lot of face-preserving pills." Zhang Qingxiao casually took the jade bottle and put it in his storage bag. Then, his eyes lit up and he smiled. "Little junior brother, do you want to cooperate with me?" "No need." Xiao Hua knew what Zhang Qingxiao was thinking. He shook his head and said, "This matter has already been discussed with a good friend in the sect." "What a pity." Zhang Qingxiao sighed. A lot of spirit stones fell into other people's storage bags. Xiao Hua unhappily rolled his eyes at him. Once again, he reached into his clothes and took out the peacock fantasy. When they saw the peacock illusion, a trace of joy appeared on both Zhang Qingxiao and Xiao Xinrui's faces, but that joy quickly disappeared and was replaced by melancholy. It was a kind of melancholy of youth that would never return. Even Xiao Hua couldn't help but think back to when the three of them, no, the four of them, saw the peacock illusion in front of Xiao Hongyue. "This thing has already been given to little junior brother. Don't take it out again," Xiao Xinrui said sadly. She really didn't want to be sad anymore. Xiao Hua smiled bitterly and held the peacock fantasy. "Senior sister, this thing is not an ordinary thing. This is the auspicious jade talisman. To be exact, it's the phoenix jade talisman." "Ah? There really is such a thing in the world?" Even Zhang Qingxiao, who had received the inheritance, was shocked. He opened his eyes and carefully looked at it. Unfortunately, after looking at it for a long time, he still couldn't figure it out. Not to mention Xiao Xinrui. When Xiao Xinrui heard Zhang Qingxiao's explanation, she suddenly understood. But what replaced it was a kind of sadness. Yes, back then, Shang Huaming's Xiao Hongyue began to punish Xiao Xinrui and others for this thing. It was also this peacock fantasy that led to Jiang Fan's appearance. This thing could almost be said to be the beginning of Shang Huaming's tragedy. "This thing is very precious. Little junior brother has worn it for so many years. This thing was bought by senior sister with spirit stones. I must return it to senior sister." Xiao Hua handed the peacock fantasy to Xiao Xinrui. Xiao Xinrui looked at the peacock fantasy in a daze. She didn't have the slightest intention to take it. Zhang Qingxiao naturally understood Xiao Xinrui's thoughts and scolded in a low voice. "Xiao Hua, this thing is always with you. How can you give it to junior sister? You're a bit rash." Xiao Hua was extremely embarrassed. He scratched his head, looked at Zhang Luer, and said with a smile, "Then give it to Luer. Let him have a smooth journey and turn misfortune into blessing." "Good." Zhang Qingxiao also nodded. However, when Xiao Hua handed the peacock fantasy to Zhang Luer actually slapped the peacock fantasy away. Even when Xiao Xinrui picked up the peacock fantasy and put it around his neck, he didn't want it, and only looked at the aqua pearl in his hand. Forget it. I'll give it to Lure when he grows up. Xiao Hua laughed. No. Xiao Xinrui shook her head firmly. She handed the peacock fantasy back to Xiao Hua and said, Lure is very stubborn. What he likes and what he doesn't like is not easy to change. Since he doesn't like this thing, he has no fate with it. This peacock fantasy. Xiao Hua, you should take it. This. Xiao Hua was hesitant. Zhang Lure was only a 3-year-old child. Where did his stubbornness come from? It was probably Xiao Xinrui's not in her heart. Junior brother, since this thing was given to you by junior sister a few decades ago, it's yours. No matter how precious it is, it's not as precious as your safety. It can protect your safety and let junior sister feel at ease in the future. You should take it with you. Zhang Qingxiao also didn't like this thing, so she advised. Fine. Xiao Hua was helpless. He still tied the peacock fantasy around his neck and wore it close to his body. What is that? Zhang Qingxiao's eyes were sharp. She immediately saw the witch puppet that had lost its effect. Xiao Hua didn't hide anything and took out the witch puppet. He smiled and said, It's a witch puppet from Ming Mountain. What's a witch puppet? Zhang Qingxiao obviously didn't know. When Xiao Hua finished speaking, Zhang Qingxiao sighed with emotion. No, Xiao Hua, you must be my heavenly demon sect's deputy sect leader. If you don't come, I won't agree. Xiao Hua just smiled and didn't say anything. Then, the three of them discussed for a long time in the inheritance hall. They temporarily confirmed the embryonic development of 100 Grass Sect, which was Shang Huaming's predecessor. Then, Xiao Hua and Zhang Qingxiao waited for the disciples of Heavenly Demon Sect who went to kill 100 Grass Sect at Yaonong Peak to return. Xiao Xinrui and Zhang Lure naturally had their own residence. Xiao Hua also came to Shihua Peak. At this time, Shihua Peak's herb garden had expanded many times compared to before. Seeing that the herb garden was full of spiritual herbs, Xiao Hua couldn't help but sigh slightly. After looking around the entire herb garden, Xiao Hua sat at the place where he had rested earlier and silently sent his primordial spirit into the space. It seemed that it was here that he discovered the secret of the space behind his head. The space back then was so dark and narrow. What about now? The space was steadily expanding, and now it was more than 200 miles wide. Not only were there all kinds of spiritual herbs luxuriant and green, but there was also a boundless field of mortal rice. Alas, people are things, but this is it. Xiao Hua sighed slightly, then raised his eyebrows and said, Second senior brother, what do you want? Zhang Qingxiao's figure slowly appeared in the air not far away and said with a frown, as expected, I can't hide my tracks from you. Zhang Qingxiao actually chased him to Shihua Peak's herb garden. He probably had some things to hide from Xiao Xinrui. At this time, Zhang Qingxiao's appearance was still the same as before. She didn't recover her coquettish and handsome appearance. What? Second senior brother's movement technique is very secretive? Xiao Hua smiled with interest. Little brother has an invisibility talisman, but once I use my spiritual power, I will be exposed. TSK, how can a small invisibility talisman compare to my demon sect's magical power? Zhang Qingxiao said disdainfully. Xiao Hua's eyes turned. Then he stretched out his hand and asked, Could it be that second senior brother wants to teach this magical power to me? Zhang Qingxiao rolled her eyes at him and said without paying attention to him, Don't you think you are too greedy? No, Xiao Hua touched his nose with his finger with an innocent face. There is no limit to this cultivation method, only more. Little brother just wants to help you see if there are any flaws in this magical power. Little brother actually always finds them. Quibble. Zhang Qingxiao wasn't stingy and gave a magic slip to him. I want to see how you cultivate. But when Xiao Hua released his Buddhist awareness to check, Zhang Qingxiao came to a realization and said, Enough. There is no need to look. I already understand. Your Buddhist cultivation seems to have reached a small success. Buddhism and demon cultivators are natural nemesis. They are very sensitive to each other. It is not strange for you to find my tracks. Immediately, Zhang Qingxiao frowned again and said, What I find strange is, where did you get the Buddhist cultivation method? How is it possible for you to cultivate Buddhism so deeply at the same time when your Tao cultivation is so advanced? Seeing that Zhang Qingxiao already understood, Xiaohua also put away the magic slip without any intention of returning it to Zhang Qingxiao. Second senior brother, can you tell me what kind of disciples your heavenly demon sect has? Xiaohua said with a smile. Or, can you teach me this face-changing method? You are not my heavenly demon sect's deputy sect leader. Why should I tell you about my heavenly demon sect's matters? Hee. I am afraid that even if I become the deputy sect leader, second senior brother may not tell me. You are right. Zhang Qingxiao didn't hide anything and nodded. Heavenly demon sect's disciples are extremely diverse. I can't be more careful. There are many things that I have to master myself. Others, even if it is little junior brother, I don't dare to believe. Little brother is the same. Xiaohua replied without any trace of politeness. As for this face-changing technique, my heavenly demon sect does have it. However, without the cultivation of a demon general equivalent to nascent soul and above, I am afraid that it can't be practiced successfully. Moreover, my demon realm's cultivation methods are mostly body refinement. Face-changing cultivation methods are not very useful and even conflict with one's own cultivation method. Generally, no one would practice it. I am borrowing the power of your mother and child spirit fruit to restore my face to the way it was before I used it. -8.